podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, March 14th, 2021. This is episode 1779. Enjoy. This episode of the Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Udacity. Build your tech skills through industry-leading programs created and recognized by top companies worldwide with a nano degree from Udacity in as little as 12 weeks. Visit udacity.com/twit and use the coupon code TWIT at checkout to get 50% off through May 30th, 2021. But right now, they're having a flash sale. For a limited time, if you use the code TWIT75, you'll get 75% off. That's only through March 22nd, 2021. So hurry. And by Nareva. Getting your audio ready for meetings back in the office, Nareva Audio is designed for distancing. It automatically adapts to new room configurations, so you're ready for the new normal and whatever comes next. Learn more and sound great at nareva.com/twit. Hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk. Yes, we started an hour early, right? Yeah, it's only 10 o'clock. Don't worry in Pacific time. It's okay. Don't freak out. No, the clock. You know, it's funny. The clocks these days, it's not as big a deal as it was maybe 10 years ago when everything didn't automatically jump forward. Your computer, your phone. Maybe I'm unusual, but most of the clocks in my house are those radio controlled clocks, so they jump forward. It's the only thing I have to do is go over to the stove and change its clock, and the microwave. The microwave. I have to change this clock. Even my toaster oven is online these days. The Internet of Things. At least there's one benefit to putting every convenience and appliance online. They automatically change the time anyway. This is the show where we talk about computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, automatic time setting, IoT devices. 8888 Ask Leo is my phone number if you want to talk about that with me. I'd love to hear from you. 888. Sorry, did you say something, Professor Laura? Are you talking to me? She just showed up. She said, what time is it? 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. I'd love to hear from you if you want to talk about technology and this world that is changing so dramatically in front of us. This is kind of a big anniversary, actually. Now, Professor Laura said happy anniversary. I thought she was talking about this. She was talking about the anniversary of lockdown. Okay, fine. It has been 1 year, I admit. It's also Pie Day, which means everybody go out and have some pie because it's 314, which is a very approximate measurement of pi, the ratio of the circumference of a circle to its radius. Pi r squared, right? But more importantly, this is the 15th anniversary of Amazon Web Services. It was 15 years ago that Amazon announced, hey, I know you think we're a bookstore. That's what we all thought. We were so wrong, weren't we? Jeff Bezos knew better, but we didn't know that at the time. He said, I know you think we're a bookstore, but guess what? In order to be the everything store, we have to have a lot of computers and servers. And we were thinking, maybe we could make those servers, what we've learned in running big network centers and all that, available for rent. At the time, back in March 14th, 2006, at least before that day, if you wanted to, and I remember this, my friend Kevin Rose, who was, had this great idea to do a news service called Dig. So if you had a great idea startup, you would have to go out, as Kevin did, find a network operations center. Because actually, I remember even earlier going over to visit Yahoo when they were first starting out. Jerry Yang and I went over to Yahoo just to say hi. This new thing, this internet directory. It was just like these offices, Cube Farm and stuff. And he said, Jerry said, you want to go see the servers? I said, what? Yeah, they're right over here, and they were in a closet. Yahoo was running out of a closet. Back in the day, that's how you did it. By the time my friend Kevin started his startup in the early 2000s, you probably didn't run it out of your closet. You ran it out of a network operations center because they had power, they had backup power, they had air conditioning, they were secure. What they didn't have was computers. So Kevin went out, bought a server. They called them colos, co-location units. They brought the server over, configured it, installed the operating system, installed his software, had it up and running, plugged it into the server's internet connection, the server room, and left. It was in a colo. Very expensive, time-consuming. If you wanted to update it, you had to do it remotely or go over there and open up the cage and put in a disk and that kind of thing. So it really was a lot more expensive and a lot more difficult to start up something. And along comes Amazon 15 years ago today, and they announced Amazon's Web Services, AWS. Their first product was S3, which was storage. Storage in the cloud. By the way, everything runs on Amazon Web Services these days. Netflix, Pinterest, Airbnb, everything. It's all running on AWS storage. S3 was the first. Later, they added computing, the Elastic Compute Cloud, ECC, and more services. There's several hundred now, all of which made it possible for a guy like Kevin Rose, the next Kevin Rose, or the next Jerry Yang, to just say, let me write some code, okay, and I'm going to spin up a server out there in the cloud, upload it to the cloud. I'm running. I'm on the internet. I'm a service. I'm an app. It really changed the world. 15 years ago today, the world changed, I think. The cloud, I think we could say this is the birthday of the cloud. How about that? On this day in 2006. It really changed the economics of a startup, of creating a software as a service or an app. It transformed everything we know. So there are 3 anniversaries. Well, 2 anniversaries and a cuckoo calendar date. Pie Day. Happy Pie Day. It's just an excuse to have some pie as far as I'm concerned. Did you see, have you been following this cuckoo idea called NFTs, non-fungible tokens? I don't blame you if you haven't, and I don't blame you if you have and can't figure it out because it's bizarre. But there was a big deal this week in non-fungible tokens. There's an artist, he calls himself Beeple, because 21st century. He calls himself Beeple. Beeple sold a work of art today. Well, it wasn't exactly a work of art. It was auctioned off at Christie's, the famous art gallery and all of that. But it wasn't the artwork itself that he sold, because the artwork itself is digital, doesn't have a physical form. It's bits on a drive. What he sold was essentially not even a JPEG. He sold the rights, the ownership to the JPEG as an NFT, as a non-fungible token. I don't know how to explain this to you. You don't have something physical. You can't hold this work of art. You could print it and put it up on the wall, but so could I, because, I mean, it's a JPEG. And it's still, you can go look for Beeple. His work of art was called Every Days, the First 5,000 Days. It's a collage of all the images he has posted online since he started in 2007. A little bit of an anniversary there, 1 year after Amazon Web Services, huh? Why do I mention this? Why should you care, you might say? I don't think I care that much, except Christie's sold it for $69.3 million. It's the 3rd highest auction price achieved for a living artist. $9 million was fees. Good job, Christie. I bet Christie got that in dollars, not Bitcoin. But the other 60 million was cryptocurrency, Ethereum, I think, for an NFT, which is not the work of art, but just the ownership of that work of art. You could say, I own it because I paid $60 million for it. What? 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 It's the first purely digital NFT sold by Christie's. It accepted payment in Ethereum. That's the cryptocurrency most often used for these NFTs. The third highest amount ever paid for a work of art by a living artist. And it's not even the work of art. It's just it's very confusing. And actually, if your first reaction is that's a scam, you may not be far off. The 60 million, we're not sure who bought it. It was bought by a pseudonymous buyer, but we're pretty sure it was actually bought. He uses the online name of Metacovan, but we're pretty sure it's, and I'm quoting here Amy Castor, who's writing on her blog, that it's a guy named Vignesh Sundarasan. Vignesh Sundarasan. He's a crypto entrepreneur, been around for a few years, has built and sold a number of companies, made a lot of money in Ethereum. A few years ago, he raised $47 million for coins, Bitcoin-like things, Ethereum coin. Ethereum's just another Bitcoin. It's believed that he's going to take this $60 million NFT that he bought and sell shares to others. And step 3, profit. He's going to make money. One of the reasons this craziness in NFTs, Elon Musk's girlfriend, the alternative musician Grimes, sold $6 million worth of her artworks in 20 minutes. $6 million in 20 minutes. That seemed like a lot at the time. Now it's nothing. But the reason this money is floating around because it's fake money. It's cryptocurrency. There's a lot of cryptocurrency millionaires and billionaires out there who don't know what to do with their money right now. So they're buying stuff, I guess. Not even stuff. Not stuff. You can't hang it on your wall. You can't take it home with you. Metacovan didn't sit there at the Christie's gallery and say, okay, wrap it up. I'll take it home. No, I don't think he was even there. It was all done digitally. What a world we live in. I could go in greater depth explaining what these non-fungible tokens are, what they mean, but you know what? It's not worth it. Just note, this week, a JPEG sold for $60 million in cryptocurrency and another $9.3 million, which went to Christie, the auction house. Thank you very much. We'll do more of those, I think. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number, techguylabs.com, the website. I'll put links there to the story. So if you want to read and marvel with your jaw dropped, you can. Hello, Kim Schaffer. She's our unbreakable phone angel. And yes, amazingly enough, Professor Laura has found a new theme song for you every episode for the last, I don't know how many. That one I don't think had anything to do with phone. So did you remember to set your clock? So you don't have to anymore. I don't have to. My car even changed
Everything
on its own.
Changes.
How does it know? I guess it knows I'm in California. What if I was in one of those states that doesn't change?
I think that's the thing.
It must know.
It's complicated. It must know where you are. It's complicated, isn't it?
It is complicated. But yeah, so far I have not had to reset any clocks. I know the microwave is probably off.
For a while, this was very challenging for Apple. Their phones and watches would crash.
Oh, I've heard some horror stories of.
They would. The time calculation was, and I guess they hadn't tested it, and they were just nasty crashes. But I think they finally figured out. Oh, we better plan for this. It's going to happen twice a year, so we better figure it out. And they finally did. All right, Kim is here for one reason, really, to keep me entertained.
One reason.
No, to answer the phone. Well, you also 2 reasons: to keep me entertained and answer the phone. And you have been doing that all morning.
All morning.
The clock behind you is correct. I'm looking at that.
I see it. We have that weird digital thing.
I see it in the screen in front of me. I don't even have to look backwards.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
That's correct.
So who should I talk to first?
Let's go to Diego in San Dimas.
I got distracted by the time. This is why we should stop this insanity. You know that. It's crazy.
Didn't we vote on it? How did that turn out?
Oh. I think California
on the ballot
did.
Last year?
I think you're right. But then...
but I know it's going to take years and years and years for anything to happen.
A state could claim... Here's the only thing a state can do. It can say, well, we don't want to do daylight saving time. Because your time zone is not set by the state. Your time zone is set probably by some international authority, but at least by the federal government. So we are in Pacific time, whether we like it or not. So the only thing they could do is say, but we're not going to jump... We're not going to spring forward anymore or jump or leap backward in the fall.
Let's just stay.
But would you really want it to do that? I guess it's better than nothing. I don't want it to change.
This morning's a little rough.
Tomorrow, there will be, we know this, it happens every year, statistically, more accidents and more heart attacks because of the time change. It would happen today. Most people are staying at home, sleeping in. It's insane.
But, my watch told me I got 7 hours of sleep last night, and that's pretty normal.
Even the farmers don't want
this.
Feel
tired.
Nobody wants this. Because cows don't know from daylight time. Cows go, it's sun's up, milk me. All right, well, I've now wasted enough time that it would be silly for me to pick up the phone because I'd only have about a minute to talk to somebody.
I think Diego needs more than a minute.
Oh, Diego's a complicated... Diego, I'm sorry. Can you hang on for a minute and we'll talk to Diego because I see you have you got hacked. That's not good. Yeah. Hang on. I don't want to give you short shrift. I want to give you long shrift, whatever that might be. I don't even know what that is. So hang on, Diego, or I could talk to you off the air too because this sounds like a serious subject. We are when we come back, we are going to talk to my car guy, Sam Abuelsamid. He'll have some sort of technology thing. I just give you a quick report on my Ford Mustang. That's not a Mustang. It's an SUV, Mach-E. Ford, not a Mustang, Mach-E. I love it, but it's not a Mustang. But it knew what time it was when I got in. In fact, I have it set so that 15 minutes before I come to work, it turns on, heats up, gets ready.
Wow.
Yeah, and it knew. It did it all automatically. So
that's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right. I guess we've had a nice chat. Thanks for the chat. We will talk to Sam in a little bit. He's going to talk about how batteries work, how these lithium-ion batteries work. That'll be interesting because that's what's powering my car and all these electric cars. 10 million electric vehicles now have been sold in the world. So they're out there. We'll take a break. Come back with Sam right after this. The show today brought to you by Udacity. Oh, I love Udacity. Joined Udacity in 2012 for my first online course. I've taken many since. It's really a great learning platform, but there's something extra special about Udacity I want to tell you about. Udacity was created by a former Googler, Sebastian Thrun, who realized that companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon were having a hard time finding technical talent because people weren't learning in schools the stuff they needed to actually work in the business. He created Udacity and partnered with some of the biggest tech companies in the world to create Udacity's Nano Degree program. So you've got a great online learning platform, but even more importantly, you're learning skills that are going to bridge the gap between your career goals, the jobs you want, and what you learned in school up to now. You're going to learn, in other words, employable skills. They work with industry leaders. They work with experts who understand exactly what job skills are in demand in the market today. When you enroll in a specific course, of course, you're going to view the video. They have online video that you'll watch, but you'll also do, and I think this is so important and something that's left out of a lot of programs, you're going to work on a series of projects. It's really important, not that you just absorb and learn the skills, and they have great instructors teaching you really well and beautifully, much better than any YouTube video or any other school, to be honest with you. But then you're going to have to apply those skills. And I found, I've taken courses where I haven't had to, and you think you know it until you get to, sit down to work, and then you don't know it. This way you will know it. You will have done it. You get the projects, and by the way, these projects are reviewed by professionals every step of the way. You got real human help, personalized code reviews if you're learning programming, and access to qualified mentors no matter when of the time of the day or night. Because Udacity's global. It's all over the world. And so they have mentors all over the world. And that's important because many people who study at Udacity have day jobs. They're adding to their skills at night. And so Udacity's there for you. You learn at your own pace. You learn when it's appropriate for you. They will help you do some of the side stuff too, like build a portfolio on GitHub or LinkedIn. Really important to be able to network there and to show your work and get the job you want. You could study AI, cloud computing, data science, autonomous systems. Everybody wants to do the self-driving cars. That is a hot topic right now. And by the way, a hot job market. You could learn those skills. They've also got softer skills that you need in business, things like product management and digital marketing, tech-adjacent roles, programming and development. You'll improve your earning potential. You'll get real employable skills. It's active learning. I think that's important. Udacity also has free courses if you just want to get a toe in and see what it's like. I strongly suggest that. But we've got a special deal that's going to make Udacity super affordable right now as well. And, of course, they have flexible payment options. You can learn at your own pace. Right now, Udacity is working hard to help close the skills gap for the Black community. Everybody wants this. Every company is looking to hire to build their diversity in their engineering programs. You're going to love the Blacks in Technology Foundation. It's partnering with Udacity. They are doing 1,000 scholarships, absolutely 100% scholarships, free, to help increase educational and professional opportunities for the Black community. This is a real opportunity. The first cohort of 2021 includes 150 scholarships. Applications have opened this month, so if you qualify, get on over there. Both organizations want to increase diversity in tech roles by creating a pipeline of qualified candidates in the hot fields like programming for data science, product management, cloud DevOps engineering. So Udacity is a great corporate citizens. Companies love Udacity. Those nano degrees are super valuable to them. Right now, and this is a special offer, only through March 22nd. So you got, a few more days. If you go to Udacity, UDACITY, udacity.com/twit, and use the code TWIT75, okay, TWIT75, 75% off. Now, this is a flash sale. It's only for the next week. If you're listening live, March 22nd, it runs out. So now's the time. Go right now, udacity.com/twit, the offer code TWIT75. If you're listening to this after March 22nd, we still have that great 50% off deal we've had all along. Coupon code for that is just TWIT, plain TWIT. And the discount will, in both cases, will be applied at checkout. Find a course you're interested in, learn, and then get a job you're interested in that pays well. It's a great opportunity. Udacity.com/twit. 75% off now through March 22nd, 2021, when you use the offer code TWIT75. That is a great deal. Udacity. We're talking batteries. It's time. Sam Abuelsamid is here. He's a principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights. He's also a podcasts about vehicles at wheelbearings.media. I always feel funny when I talk to car guys. They don't say car, they say vehicles.
Well, because the majority of what's sold today are not actually cars.
What's a car? Car's short for carriage, right? We called them cars since the horse and buggy days.
I guess if you think of it that way, then they actually have become more like old-fashioned carriages, riding up higher and so I guess I mean you could call it whatever you want, because there's such a variety of vehicles out there, and
there's automobile.
And most of them are not
There's
traditional car-shaped cars anymore.
Calling it an automobile is like calling a movie a film.
Yeah,
car is the word movie. It's like the casual. But then there's vehicle, which I think people who say vehicle think I'm correct. I'm calling it a vehicle. Does vehicle cover everything?
Yeah, it's a more generic term.
So a pickup is a vehicle, an SUV is a vehicle,
an SUV,
a sedan.
crossover.
Okay. Okay.
Even a Miata is a vehicle.
Yeah. I guess you can't call a pickup a car. So I guess that's why.
Yeah.
But I call your Miata a car.
You could.
I call my Mustang a car. It's a crossover, but I call it a car. I don't know. I'm sorry I even brought this up. Let's talk about batteries.
Okay. So we had a couple of actually pretty big announcements in the EV battery world in recent days. Mark Royce, who is the president of General Motors, did a live fireside chat, I guess, with David Ignatius from the Washington Post on Thursday. And he made an announcement during that General Motors was partnering up with a company called SES, which they recently rebranded themselves from Solid Energy Systems. They're a startup that GM Ventures invested in about 5 or 6 years ago. They're working on solid state batteries, actually specific type lithium metal batteries. And a couple of months ago, we also got a big announcement from another company doing a similar type of battery called QuantumScape. And Volkswagen is a big investor in QuantumScape.
So what's the problem? So, I mean, I know we've come a long way in batteries from, the ever ready battery. Then we had rechargeables. We had NiCads. Those were awful because they had memory effects. If you forgot, if you charge them too much or charge them too little, it was bad. Then we came to nickel metal hydride. That's most little rechargeable batteries. Your Type A's or C's. Those are nickel metal hydride. Those work pretty well. But lithium ion is what we find in our phones, in our laptops, and now in our cars or vehicles. We don't need a whole lecture on battery technology, but it seems like they've gotten better and better. Is that right?
But yeah, they have gotten progressively better over the last several decades. Each time there's been a significant generational change, like when we went from NiCad to nickel metal hydride and then nickel metal hydride to lithium ion, we kind of doubled the energy density.
But in all cases, the battery works the same way. You've got two different chemicals interacting to generate electricity, and in the case of the throwaway ever-readies, that reaction gets depleted, they're done. But in the case of all the batteries since rechargeables, you can reverse the chemical reaction, store more energy in there, and use it again. You can only do that a limited number of times. So
that's true. And the other. One of the big challenges with batteries, though, is, they have the energy density, how much for a given size or weight of the battery, how much energy can it actually hold? They're still, compared to liquid fuels like gasoline or diesel, they're still minuscule, in terms of energy density. A gallon of gasoline weighs about 6.5 pounds.
Right.
And has about 33.5 kilowatt hours of energy in it.
Wow, that's a lot.
By comparison, a lithium-ion battery for a car that holds 33.5 kilowatt hours weighs about 1,000 pounds.
Wow!
No, actually, it's about 700 pounds, 600 to 700 pounds.
So it's 100 times less dense
roughly
energy storage.
Yeah.
Wow!
And so that's
why my car is so heavy with batteries.
Exactly. Why all EVs are comparatively heavy compared to gas-powered cars. Yeah. And one of the things that everybody's working on now is this idea of these lithium metal batteries, which is another evolution of lithium ion. And they claim that they can get close to double the energy density again. So, the best lithium ion batteries that we've got in cars today are doing about 250 watt hours per kilogram. And SES, this company that's working with GM, is claiming they can do 400 to 500 watt hours per kilogram.
Oh, that's a lot more. Wow. More
which
than double.
Yeah. And the beauty of that, is, when you double that energy density, now you have the option of either you can, keep the same size battery and double the range, or if 250 to 300 miles of range is enough, you can start to shrink down that battery. So you take several hundred pounds out of that vehicle, you take up less space in the vehicle, and now it can that makes it still more efficient because you don't have as much weight to carry around.
Right.
So there's a lot of benefits to that. Plus, it's also going to be cheaper when you have, if you can carry less battery around, it's going to, everything starts to get cheaper and more affordable.
It's funny because there haven't been a lot of advances in battery technology. It's normally a very slow-moving field compared to, say, microprocessors. But there's some pressure now as companies move towards electric vehicles and governments move towards mandating electric vehicles to get these more efficient. So it's interesting to see how quickly the innovation can start to happen. How long before we see SES batteries in vehicles?
They're going to have a prototype plant up and running in 2023, and GM hopes to start volume production, somewhere around 2025, 2026. And that's probably when we'll start to see some of these lithium metal batteries from a variety of companies, is probably, 5 or 6 years from now. But the other thing you mentioned, the mandates for EVs, one of the big challenges is getting enough batteries.
Enough lithium. Lithium is
lithium and just having enough factories.
Yeah.
Today we have production capacity for about 40 gigawatt hours worth of batteries a year in the U.S. If we go to 100% EVs and we have to build 17 million EVs a year, we're going to need about 1.5 terawatt hours. So that's about 40 times as much.
That's why Elon Musk is building those gigafactories.
Yeah, well, and LG Chem a couple of days ago announced that they are investing $4.5 billion to build 2 more cell plants here in the U.S. And they're going to expand. They currently have capacity at their plant in Michigan for about 5 gigawatt hours. They're going to expand that by another 70 gigawatt hours by 2025. And GM also has another joint venture with LG Chem where in Ohio, where that's under construction right now. They're going to start production there next year with another 35 gigawatt hours. And they're working on plans for another plant as part of that joint venture for another 35 gigawatt hours. So, it's by mid-decade, we're going to start seeing a lot more EVs because we're going to have a lot more batteries available to us.
Well, so we also have to increase electric generation capacity. I mean, people start plugging in their cars. We don't have to make gasoline anymore. I guess that's a benefit, but we're going to have to be able to generate electricity better.
Well, we're going to have to generate electricity, but also we have to manage how, we've actually got pretty close to as much generation capacity as we need nationally.
Okay.
But the problem is not all of it is available all the time or when we need it.
Right. No, I have 60 solar panels on my house, but when the sun isn't shining, I don't have any electricity.
Yeah, those batteries you have on your garage
That's
wall,
why I have a big
we're going to have a lot more of those installed at wind farms and solar farms to store all that electricity.
Big Tesla batteries in my house to store that up, It's an interesting area. Pretty geeky, lots of numbers, but I'm glad you brought it up because I think it's fascinating. Sam Abuelsamid, he is a principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights. His Wheel Bearings podcast is awesome for people who like cars and vehicles at wheelbearings.media. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's a really, there's a lot to this. I mean, we had just scratched the surface.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot to this.
It's a complicated thing. I've actually got a call tomorrow with the team from SES to learn more specifics about what they're doing. And maybe I might be able to talk about some of that next week. But there's a lot of interesting things going on in the battery world. But just ramping up production is going to be the big thing. We're going to need a lot more battery production.
What is a solid state battery? I don't understand. How does that distinct from what we do now?
So the batteries we have today, you've got your anode and your cathode, your negative and positive electrodes. There's a separator in between that keeps them ideally from touching each other so it doesn't short out and catch fire. And then the rest of the cell is flooded with an electrolyte. And so the lithium ions, as the lithium ion battery discharges and discharges, lithium ions are flowing back and forth through the electrolyte between the two electrodes. And the electrons that are stripped off of those lithium atoms, they flow through the outside circuit, through the motor or whatever. And the electrolyte is a conductive material that is used to flood the cell to allow that transmission of the electrons or the lithium ions back and forth. Mm-hmm. Currently, the material that's used as an electrolyte is either a liquid or a polymer gel. Mm-hmm. And it's got, all the organic electrolytes we use today. One of the components in there is oxygen. And this is one of the problems with that. When a battery does catch fire, as it heats up that electrolyte, and it gives off oxygen, and it feeds the fire, which is why it's so hard to extinguish a battery fire.
Right.
Because even if you smother it, it's still producing
its own oxygen
from inside.
Wow.
So solid state batteries eliminate that liquid or gel electrolyte and move to a solid electrolyte. So you'd fill it with something, and probably
so they'd be
some
safer
slurry form. Yeah, and then it solidifies, and it should be safer, allow you to charge it at higher rates, things like that, and generally be more stable. But the problem so far, they've been able to make solid state batteries in sample sizes, small quantities, but they haven't yet figured out how to scale up the production to high volume production.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. But SES presumably is figuring that out as time.
Yeah, they're one of several companies doing this, and Toyota's also working on this area.
They still use lithium though as the cathode, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, what they're doing, both the SES and the QuantumScape, they actually are doing because the cathodes in today's lithium-ion batteries are made of graphite, so they're actually going to make the anode out of lithium metallic lithium, rather than graphite, because that's where you get that extra energy density from, and it's lighter than graphite. But it's manufacturing all this at scale that is the problem so far.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Sam, I have to run. I want to talk more about this, though. It's very interesting. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good one. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. Poor Diego. I've been keeping him on hold all this time. Diego, you're very patient. Thank you, and I apologize. My time management needs some work. What's going on in your world?
Hey, Leo. Just a quick thing on the NFT. I think of them as like collectible baseball cards.
Right. They're very similar, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, none of us care about collectible baseball cards, but there's people that are willing to shell out a bunch of money for them.
Yeah.
And you need to have the actual card, even though you can have a picture of the card for like comparison to your art thing.
That's a good way to describe it. And it is speculation, really. I mean, it's about I'm going to buy this Hannes Wagner card for, tens of millions of dollars, because someday somebody's going to pay me $20 million. And really, unless you're such a Hannes Wagner fan, I don't know if anybody is anymore. The reason his cards are so valuable is there are only 9 of them. So that makes it more valuable.
I thought you were making the name up.
Yeah, because he played in the the 1880s. He's not 1890s. He's not well known as a baseball player, but because this is a long story, but because he didn't believe in smoking, and those baseball cards were originally issued in packs of cigarettes, he demanded they stop. So a few of them were released, and that's why they're so valuable. And it's really value is scarcity, but it's really more what they think people will play. And I pay for them. And I don't think anybody, unless you're a major Pittsburgh Pirates fan, I don't think anybody really cares about Hannes Wagner anymore anyway. But his card's still worth $3 million. What can now, Diego, very nice of you to be so patient. You are kind of in a crisis, it sounds like, though. What's going on?
Well, I was online. I was streaming something. It might not have been a good link. And someone got remote access to my desktop.
Now, how do you know that happened? Were they making fun of you? Did they play funny sounds out of your speaker? What was the symptom?
Well, the streaming was full screen, and then it went, it shrunk down to regular screen.
Yeah.
Like it went out of full screen.
Yeah. And
I saw the mouse move, but then I put it back into full screen, and then I saw them start opening up my PDFs.
Whoa!
And then they opened up Dropbox.
Oh!
And it looked like they were about to dump into Dropbox when I kind of shut down. We did a hard shutdown, and when I restarted, they were still in, but I luckily I have a password to get into the computer. So I disconnected all of my internet.
Good.
And I restarted the computer. I have Malwarebytes and Kaspersky.
Okay. Malwarebytes is a scanner. It'll find malware, and Kaspersky is an antivirus. Did either one of them come up with anything?
No, they didn't find anything.
That's really interesting. So I think that's a pretty good clue when you see somebody moving the mouse and opening files that somebody is getting remote access to your computer. The reason I ask, though, is sometimes computers do things we don't expect, and we assume that there's a human agent behind it, and sometimes it's just the computer acting funny. But I think you've got a pretty good case. I judged your computer not haunted, but definitely infected. So it's interesting that neither Malwarebytes nor Kaspersky found anything. You did the right thing. They can't do anything unless they're connected to the internet, because that's how they do the control. And you haven't seen any symptoms since you disconnected from the internet, I presume. No mouse movement. It's kind of a funny thing that they would do that while you're sitting there watching. That's foolish on their part, because that's a giveaway, isn't it?
Yeah, well, because I went online and they kind of said, I have a Spectrum, and they give you the generic router and modem.
Right.
So the suggestion was, switch out hardware. They more than likely have your address for your modem or your router.
That's not gonna help, because what they need to do is get into your computer itself. And there needs to be a remote access program on there. Now, it may be that the remote access program they put on there is not malware. It's just a remote access program. So the other thing to do is to go into add, remove programs. That's not what Windows calls it anymore, but it's, I can't remember. They have a new, I guess it is, add or remove programs. And look at what's on there. Make sure that nothing is on there that you didn't install, that you don't know what it does. Because it may simply be that the reason Kaspersky and Malwarebytes didn't flag it is it's a legitimate app somehow, and they're not going to flag apps that you might be using yourself. So that's the first thing I do is go through and uninstall anything that you didn't install, or you don't know why that's there. The worst case scenario, you got to install something you need, and then you just have to reinstall it.
Right. What I did is I went kind of, say, sorry, I changed all the hardware, but then I also went to the Geek Squad, and I told them to basically dump everything out of the computer, and I basically wiped it.
Yeah, I mean, generally when these kinds of things happen, my advice is that really, if somebody has somehow compromised your machine, you don't really know what they did to it. People often, and I'm sure they did, the Geek Squad did this, will run Malwarebytes and assume, well, I found everything, or I didn't find anything, so I'm okay. And as you know, you are not. And this is the problem. There may be something on there. You're right. It might be something on your router. There's all sorts of things that they, maybe can be done that aren't detected. So in general, if you absolutely want to be safe, you should wipe the hard drive and reinstall Windows. Now, that's assuming you have a backup of any data you need, so make sure you're backed up everything. You can still do that now. You probably won't be backing up the malware. Back up your data, your documents folder, things like that. You're using Dropbox, so probably it's on. You've got a backup on a Dropbox of your most important stuff. And then just reform. You don't need to bring it to the Geek Squad. Just this is the only really sure way of getting rid of it is reformat. And you're right. If it's in your router, and there are malware programs that can get in your router, they're not normally remote access. But again, since somebody had access to your system, you don't know what they've done. It's probably a good idea to reset your router, at least unplug it and plug it in.
I got rid of it. I went and
get rid of it. Get rid of it. Yeah. Geek Squad generally will not wipe it because they don't want to go through all that trouble of, saying, oh, now you have to back everything up. Oh, no, none of your things will be saved and all that stuff. So they try to do what you just did, which is Malwarebytes and Kaspersky and stuff like that. And since you found nothing, but we know there's an infection, I think the best thing to do is for you to format the drive and reinstall Windows. Do you know how to do all that?
Kind of. Well, I did. What I did is I dumped all. Well, I already because I had called last week, but just to be safe, because I do online classes.
Oh yeah, we talked last week. Okay, yeah. All right, so
Well, I actually did pay Geek Squad to dump it all out, and then I had a backup on the USB.
Okay, so they did it. They reinstalled Windows from scratch. Okay, have you plugged it back into the internet?
I have plugged it. I haven't seen anything. I don't that's what I was kind of looking for. Like, I don't know if you know of any, like, how do I monitor?
Well, I mean, there are techniques that can be very difficult to eradicate if for some reason. Usually won't be from clicking a link, but I mean, they can modify your firmware. They can actually put malware in your GPU if you have one. There's lots of places on your computer these days where stuff can be stored, but generally speaking, that would have to be somebody who's after you. You don't work for the NSA or the CIA or anything like that, do you? Okay, you're a teacher. You're a teacher. So unless you have a student who's really a proficient hacker who decided, I'm going to get you for that B-, I think chances are they're not using those more arcane methods of, storing stuff in firmware. You're probably okay. It's certainly worth keeping an eye on it. Depending on how long they were able to do that, I'd change. It sounds like it wasn't very long, so I'm not going to worry too much about passwords and stuff, but that's another thing to consider. Yikes, Diego. That is a scary thing. You think a student was messing with you?
No, I'm a student, so I had to jump back in.
Oh, you're a student. All right. So I'm trying to think of what. So it sounds like it was some legit remote access. Sounds honestly like somebody was messing with you rather than hacking you, to be honest.
Gotcha.
So you went you were streaming some video, and you think that's when it happened, or you don't know when it happened?
Yeah, let's say there was a pay-per-view that I wanted to see, and maybe
a little piracy involved, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Often those sites have other stuff on there. Yeah. So maybe that is what happened. Yeah.
I'm signing up for iDrive right now. So.
Yeah, that makes it easier because you have a backup. But that's any backup. A good backup is you can even do it after you get infected. Although I would prefer you didn't, because you could accidentally back up something. But
right.
Boy, that's So you're on a pirate site. You don't know you don't know what's going on that pirate site. A lot of times people if you're a hacker. You make a honeypot. You make something that's going to attract people. So maybe, there was a great pay-per-view the other night. You steal that. You put it on your site. You say, hey, I got the pay-per-view for free. Anybody wants to watch the fight? And then anybody who visits your site, did it ask you to download a player for that video?
No, it was weird. There was no pop-ups,
nothing.
Notifications.
Well, it's, and so the key here is, have you been it's a Windows machine?
Yes.
You've been keeping it up to date?
Yes.
It's not Windows 7 or XP or anything.
No, it's 10.
So that's one of the things that happens. If you don't keep the security patches up to date, then that generally those patch things that let a bad guy do a drive-by, even just on a website, install software on your system. Thing is, that's a very inefficient hack, to be honest with you. That's why I'm thinking it's somebody's just messing with you, because if I'm a hacker, I make money by getting on 1 million machines. I'm not going to remote access each one of them. That's no good, right? What's the value in that? That's why I'm kind of thinking maybe somebody's got something out for you, but maybe not. Maybe this is just some guy who likes to get into people's computers. One of the games some of these bad guys play is they look for computers owned by attractive young women. And then they take them over and they turn on the cameras and stuff like that. The guy got a little disappointed when he saw you, Diego. I'm sorry to say.
I have one of those little camera lens covers, so I should be
good. Yeah. That's good. Keep an eye out. Change your passwords. I think you're probably okay. But
yeah, what was that password thing you were talking about last week? I wanted to check that out.
Do you use a password manager?
No.
Oh, yeah. Get a password manager. You can use Bitwarden for free, bitwarden.com. And it'll keep track of your passwords. But more importantly, you can now go through, you probably should, and change, at least on things that have money in them. Change the passwords in your bank account and things like your investments, that kind of thing. that's where they're going to go. I mean, it doesn't really matter if they get your Netflix password, but eventually you'd like to change all of that stuff. And so having a password manager will help, because if you don't have one, I guarantee you're using the same password over and over again, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so a password manager helps because it generates a unique, strong password for every single site. So you can use Bitwarden. LastPass will do that. 1Password's another good one that will let you create new passwords on each site one by one, and then remember it. Bitwarden's the one I would recommend. It's cheap. Even if you pay for it, it's $10 a year.
Okay.
All right? Diego, I'm sorry that happened to you. I apologize.
Yeah, that was scary.
Yeah. Sounds like you're okay now, though.
Yeah, learned my lesson.
No pirated movies for you. No UFC.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
How did I know?
Oh, man.
No UFC. All right, good to talk to you, Diego. Have a good day.
Thank you, Leo.
Take care. Bye-bye. Well, hey. How are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We got your smartphones. We got your smart watches. We got your voice assistants, your virtual reality, your augmented reality, even real reality. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Our website, where everything we talk about goes up on the website, thanks to our scribe, James DeRuvo. That website's free, no sign up. It's techguylabs.com. techguylabs.com. We were just talking during the break about the new Echo Show from Amazon. That's their A-word voice assistant. I use the A-word. I don't want to trigger anybody's echo. It's the A-word voice assistant with a screen that turns to follow you. Not gonna do it. But when I went to the Amazon site to look up the price, $250, I saw that they're doing something interesting. Day one editions. Want to decide which devices we build next? Asks Amazon. You can pre-order concepts by March 19th. And if the pre-order goals are met, they'll make it. If not enough people buy it, they won't make it. So there's a smart cuckoo clock with Echo built in. Pass. Why would you want a cuckoo clock with Echo built in? This I might want, though. There's a smart nutrition scale. So it's a normal looking scale, but it has Echo built in. You could ask for nutrition information. Maybe. Although I have an Echo right next to my scale in my kitchen, so I don't know. How about this one? I like this one. A smart sticky note printer. So you can talk to your Echo and you can say, print my to-do list or print my grocery list. It looks like a little thermal printer. It'll print it out. So I'd never seen this before. Day one editions at the Amazon website. These guys are so clever. Boy, are they good marketers. These are concepts, I guess, that, they were brainstorming and thinking about. Let me order the sticky note printer. I want to see. It's just a pre-order. Oh, $89.99. Oh, this item was. They've already met their goal on day 3, so it will be built. Let me see if the smart nutrition scale is there. No, not yet. Not yet. Only 57% of pre-order met. Let's see about the cuckoo clock. What do you think? Guesses? As the cuckoo clock pre-orders, how are those going? Let me see. Oh, 55% of the goal met. So the only one that's for sure is that sticky note printer, which is funny because that's the one I thought, I could see that. See, that'd be kind of cool. Print the moment you remember. Use your voice to take down important notes. No ink needed. It's a thermal printer. Additional paper colors sold separately. Comes with one yellow sticky paper roll. Refills will be available in blue, pink, white, and yellow. I like this idea. It must be paired to a compatible Echo device. So it doesn't have the Echo built in. It's just a little printer that works with an Echo. Okay. I'm going to put that on my list. Aren't they clever? Dr. Mom says, I ordered the printer and the scale. Now, Dr. Mom, what do you need the scale for? Don't you have an Echo in your kitchen? You just, in a regular scale, wouldn't you get the same benefit? What I don't have is a smart sticky note printer anywhere in the house. Amazon's clever. They're so clever. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Paul on the line from Columbus, Ohio. Hello, Paul. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
It's great. How are you?
Good. Had my second vaccination shot, and tomorrow it's been the total of a month, so we're clean.
Oh, I'm so jealous. Isn't that that must be a good feeling. Now, I'm sure they told you got to wear the mask because you could still get it and be asymptomatic and pass it on and things like that. But you don't have to worry about getting so sick you're going to go to the hospital. And I think that's got to be a burden lifted.
I'm 72, and that's great, but we can get together for a family thing because almost everybody's without mask inside. So anyway, that'll be good.
Oh, heaven. Isn't it funny? Here we are 1 year in. It's exactly 1 year since this all started. And we're finally getting back to normal life, inch by inch. Well, congratulations. I'm thrilled to hear that for you, Paul.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying to take a cruise next year, too. Anyway.
Me too. Yes.
Yes, I know.
Yes. Want to get back traveling. Yes.
Back to travel a little bit. Okay. I had Spectrum Internet after having Spectrum 3 play messy deal when we moved a few years ago, and that, of course, kept getting more expensive with Internet only, which also kept getting more expensive. We had a really good, solid 100 and rounded. It was average at 117 down and
nice
12 or 13 up.
That's probably all anybody needs, unless you're doing something special. Yeah.
But they keep up in the price, and they didn't want to let us use our own modem, and which I guess that's changed now. But
I think they have to by law. So that should be changed. Yeah.
So anyway, it goes up to $75 a month.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've heard. You probably have heard of WOW.
Wow. With an exclamation mark. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we got a promotion from them, a card, and said we could get up to a gig service.
Yeah.
For $60 a month.
Nice.
Okay. And the nice thing about this is they provide as your router an Eero Pro.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
So how does WOW get into your house? That's because the reason there's a duopoly of internet service providers is really only a couple of fat pipes in your house. One's the cable. Spectrum owns that.
Right. Well, the inside cable is mine, and we can plug anything in at the outside. So our Spectrum had an entrance, a cable.
Sure. So WOW must be in your neighborhood then, right?
Yeah. They brought the cable from the pole and dropped it.
Fantastic.
Now, it's cool because I already had the original Eeros. So I used I of course made the gateway the new one and used the Beacon, but I still have a couple of the older ones, which are only 500 megabytes. But anyway,
that's still plenty, believe me, especially on Wi-Fi. You're fine. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, the only problem I want to let people know that because that's a pretty good deal.
No kidding.
$60 a month, and then they provide those two for you. But anyway. So they promise, as did Spectrum, which I think we must have been right at a terminal box to get that consistent speed because they guarantee 80%, and that's what WOW said. So they're supposed to guarantee 800 megabytes. Most of the time it is between 800 and 949. So
yeah,
it's pretty good.
There's some loss along the line. Yeah,
but at about 25% of the time it may be 7 something or sometimes 6 or what, but not bad. Still a lot more than what I had, and but the only one thing that bothers me is occasionally I'll have like a notification from our security system that such and such door is open or closed, the garage door or whatever, and it seemed like on Spectrum that was like almost instantaneous. Sometimes with WOW there's not a big delay, but it could be 30 seconds.
Okay.
Not always, but sometimes.
Yeah.
So what might be happening with that?
It's so funny because we're so used to the internet these days, and we don't even think about it. But it's actually a fairly complicated system. So your alarm company, or that alarm system that's giving you the notification, is it a company that's offering that?
Yeah, it's Ooma.
Ooma. Oh, okay. Yeah. So Ooma, which is a voice over internet service. So Ooma's using your internet, but there is a trip, obviously, from the, a round trip that has to be made from the sensor to the Ooma servers, because only Ooma understands this, and then back to WOW. Ooma may have had better results on Spectrum because they were peering with Spectrum, or they had some sort of relationship with Spectrum, or maybe even Ooma was on Spectrum. We don't know. Or remember, Ooma works as a peer-to-peer system. There may have been more Ooma users on Spectrum. So that's the problem, is when you get a new internet service provider, they don't tell you, well, our backbone is on level 7 and we're doing this and that. They don't tell you what the routing is. But it may well be that WOW's routing, not that it's bad, it'll probably give you better service with some things and worse service with other things, depending on, Ooma, if Ooma's isn't peered with WOW, if they don't have a direct connection to WOW. Peering is a thing that companies do where they're directly connected to one another. That gives you a better result. If they're not, they're going over the public internet the whole way. Yeah, that would be not an unreasonable amount of time. A 30-second wait as it's going to the Ooma servers. Ooma's going, the door's open, ping him, back through WOW and back to you. It's not unusual. Okay. Generally, it's a zero-sum game. So what you lose from Ooma latency, you might gain. Netflix might work better, or it just varies. It depends on what companies they've done deals with for peering and that kind of thing. So I suspect that's what it is. It's a routing thing. And if you really wanted to get deep into the weeds, you could do a trace route. There are software on most computers. If not, you can download software that will trace a ping and show all the servers it goes through. So you can, and sometimes people are kind of interested in this. It's academic. There's not much you can do about it, but it might be of interest.
Yeah,
ping Ooma from your, if you don't have your Spectrum anymore, but maybe get a neighbor to ping Ooma from Spectrum and then ping it from WOW and see what the routing is. And I suspect the reason it's a delay is because of a longer route.
Yeah. I'm going to get my own modem, my own cable modem. They gave us one to start with, which is the Technicolor, believe it or not, is the name of it. But I know you recommended the Netgear.
The CM1000 is my favorite. That's a DOCSIS 3.1. I imagine WOW offers 3.1. Yeah.
Yeah. So am I going to see any difference?
You may well. Yeah, you may well. It's not unusual to see variations in the speed. Remember, WOW, just like a cable company, I suspect, has a head end somewhere in that area. They're supplying with a certain amount of bandwidth, and then that's shared amongst your neighbors.
Yeah, they are a cable company. They do provide their own.
Yeah, so somewhere it could be across the street. Mine's across the street from me, but it could be down the road. It could be a block or two away. There is a head end where it's supplied by a fat pipe with the data that everybody else is going to use, and all the cable runs for your neighborhood go into that head end. That's shared. So I bet you anything your numbers go down at about 7 p.m. when everybody turns on Netflix. Things like that.
A little bit, yeah.
It's generally in response to traffic. It's not the home office. It's your local traffic. That's normal. And as you say, you're getting a huge. I mean, truthfully, Wi-Fi cuts it by significantly more than that because just Wi-Fi has a lot of overhead. If you're Ethernetted in, you're going to get the closest to the speed that they're offering. It's going to vary. It's going to go up and down, but it'll never probably ever reach a gig. But it's close. It's
now, I do
close.
Have
it's good.
All of my the Pro, of course, is hardwired, and my other Heroes are hardwired. The Beacon, of course, isn't. Is that how compare the Beacon to one of the original Oomas? Not Oomas, Heroes. Can you really get away with one hardwire for the gateway?
Sure, absolutely.
Is it going to be comparable to the old?
Yeah, you don't need more than one hardwire. eventually, if you, this is what I did. It's somewhat of an expense. We put in Ethernet. We went up, had sent some guy up in the attic, dropped Ethernet down our walls, because especially for TV viewing and Zooming nowadays, the kids are in school via Zoom. It's better. So hardwire is always going to be a little bit better. But you got an Eero. Eero's really smart. The only one upgrade you may want to get is more modern beacons to match the base station, because those should give you better results. I think the new Eero is probably Wi-Fi 6. That would give you Wi-Fi 6 capability on those beacons, things like that.
Well, I've listened to you all along, and I hardwire anything I can hardwire. Like all the TVs are hardwired.
Good. You're good. You're good, Paul. Yeah, one drop doesn't matter. It's one drop into your house, one drop to the Eero, and then from the Eero into the rest of the house. That's completely normal.
Okay, super.
Congratulations on getting both. Well, I call them Fauci ouchies. You got both your Fauci ouchies. Well done.
It was no big deal either.
No, that's great. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. I think the rules change on Monday. I might be able to get in line.
All right.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888. Ask Leo. Chris Marquardt, the photo guy, coming up. Jim's on the line from Green Valley, California. Hello, Jim.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
Well, long-time listener. Back in the days of, what was it, Screen something?
The Screensavers. Tech TV, baby.
Oh, that was awesome.
Wow.
Anyhow, I've been a Mac user since 1988.
Yep.
And was it 2018? I bought a iPad Pro with a pen.
Okay.
And I love it.
Okay.
And so I got a software to make some artwork.
Nice. What are you using?
The software?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Procreate. Procreate's awesome. Yeah.
Yes. So I create artwork, and I usually do it. Was it 4K size?
Okay.
And then I transfer them over to iPhotos, and
I know what you're going to ask me. How do I get $60 million for my artwork? You want to sell NFTs, don't you?
No, I don't want to sell my artwork.
I'm just teasing you.
No, I know. The thing is when you go on the computer or the internet, you can download any photo or whatever, and you got a copy.
That's exactly right.
I don't want to give my copies away.
I don't blame you, but guess what?
I know.
If you put it on the internet, not much you can do about it.
No, I don't do that.
So don't put it on the internet. But at the same time, you want people to see it.
Well, I want them to pay for it.
Oh, you want them to pay for it? Well, this is complicated. I mean, there really is no way to fix this. You can watermark it, which is probably the best thing to do, but people can edit the watermark out. Or
But no, this is what I want to do. Is I used to do a long time ago, like on lithograph.
Can you hold on just a second? I hear the music's going to cut us off here. We're going to go to Chris Marquardt, the photo guy. Hang on, though. I'll talk to you off the air. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So, yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of a lithograph. You can make a number of copies, but you can number them and sign them, and people. Right. By the way, Jim, people could still take a picture of the lithograph, do a Gclay print or something. I mean, it still can be stolen, but it's just a little harder.
Right. Well, because I have them locked up.
Right.
So, and I did scan them to my hard drive. But anyhow, the thing is I would like to send a photo. I mean, one of my drawings that I do on there. Yeah. Or take it somewhere to a place that would print it for me.
Yes. So what you want,
but where the place would I take it to, they wouldn't keep a copy though.
Well, yeah, I mean most printers are going to be good about that because they want your business. They want you to come back.
Right.
So what I would look for, there are a lot of different photo printing services. You can go, to SmugMug, for instance, which is a photo sharing site, and they do printing through a fairly good photo lab. What I would look for is someone local who does something called Gclay Printing, Giclee.
Well, now, Gclay, isn't that just regular inkjet?
It is, but it's a special high-quality inkjet. You're going to need an inkjet. Almost certainly it's going to be an inkjet to do the colors that you want, the vibrancy you want.
Right.
But these are special inkjets that give you art quality reproduction.
Yeah, archival,
but also high quality. Now, these aren't photos, right? These are drawings you're doing with Procreate, right?
Yeah, on the iPad. Yeah. And the size of it says I do it at a 4K dimension.
Yeah.
And so I play them on my TV screen.
They look great. But if you want a print to be as vibrant, remember that the screen technology is emissive. The color comes from the screen. When you're looking at a print, it comes from light bouncing off the print. So the color is reproduced in a completely different manner. So getting a print to look as luminous and vibrant as a screen is difficult.
Right.
But a good printer is going to do a good job. And that's why I recommend a Gclay printer. Somebody who says, because that means they know what fine art is.
Right.
That's fine art printing. And so I'm sure there's somebody in your area. Well, I don't know. Green Valley, are you near?
Napa in San Francisco.
Oh, basically. You're right where I am. I'm in Petaluma.
I know. I've been wanting to come and visit you.
Oh, I know. We've been closed for a year now. But I think if you find, you might have to go to San Francisco, but I would look in our area for somebody, because you want somebody local. Because I'll tell you why.
Right.
If you send it off, they're going to send it back to you, and you go, well, okay. What you'd like is somebody you can go in, they'll print a proof for you.
Right.
And you can say, well, look, this color is off. You want a proof. Yeah. And then you say, okay, that's it. Gclay also really is designed to be sold. It's designed to be like your lithographs, a high-quality reproduction of the original.
Right.
And that's what you need. Now, you can go out and you can buy very good inkjet printers and do it yourself.
Yeah, but then that can become expensive because
it's expensive and it becomes its own art. I mean, I know some artists who do this. My friend Bill Atkinson, who's a geek, of course, does amazing photos of minerals, and he prints them himself. But he has spent many thousands of dollars, maybe more importantly, many hundreds of hours perfecting his printing. He prints onto canvases. I have some of his canvases. They are fine art. They're beautiful.
Right.
So you can do it, but I would suggest, unless you want to become that guy, I would suggest you find somebody, and you're going to want to, it's going to be a relationship. If you have great art that and this is the difference between painting on a canvas or doing a lithograph where you control the whole thing, and now it's digital. You don't have a print.
Right.
So you want to get somebody who can really print it. And I strongly suggest looking for somebody who says, we do Gclay, because it's just code. It just means they understand fine art printing. Giclee. Got to run, because guess what? It's time for our fine art photographer. And look, he's back on Zoom.
Amazing quality. No, it's not Zoom. And I have a fresh new DSL line, which is like 0 packet loss, nothing on that line. It's really good.
That's awesome. The Tech Guy Podcast brought to you today by Nureva, Nureva. Now, I have to admit, I knew nothing about Nureva till I talked to them, and I got a demo of one of the most amazing pieces of kit for your office. Now, as we all start to, come back into the office, we start having meetings in person. Woohoo! Yay! Taco Tuesday's back. We still have to follow good procedures, socially distance, that kind of thing. If you're having a conference call in that conference room, you don't want to have to wipe down the microphones. You don't want to have people face a certain way or sit at a certain spot. You got to know about Nureva. Nureva audio is designed for distancing, a great way to get clear, reliable audio in your conference room or your classroom and let your team act naturally, face whatever way they want, sit wherever they want, but still feel safe. Most conventional audio systems don't give you the flexibility you need to accommodate the changes in distanced meeting spaces. Nureva is designed for distancing. It's not a beamforming system. Those are finicky. They're fussy. You have to adjust them. They have special technicians have to come in. And then if people move around, you have to put spots on the table and say, you sit here, right here. That's not what this is. Nor is it a tabletop system where the mics have to be sanitized every time you use them. This is a system it looks like a sound bar. It goes on the wall. Yes, it has a speaker, but it also has microphones in it. This is a patented technology Nareva calls microphone mist technology. 4 patents, actually. And really, what it is computational audio. We've seen what miracles you can have in your smartphone with computational photography. This is the same thing. These microphones pick up the sound and using computational audio, fix it, adjust it so that you get great sound throughout the room. It's as if the room is filled with thousands of virtual mics. Full room coverage. People can be heard from anywhere in the room, no matter where they sit, no matter how they face, no matter how they're distanced. No technicians needed. You can install it yourself. Just install each microphone and speaker bar on the wall. It'll automatically adapt to any configuration. And in this day and age, the configurations change, right? People move around, chairs move, tables move. Nareva will adjust automatically. Nareva audio products have won numerous awards, including the Top New Technology Award at ISE 2020. That was for their Nareva HDL 200 system. There are a number of different systems to match the size of your room, the size of your space, your particular needs. They use them at HubSpot. Jimmy Yan, who's their principal collaboration engineer, he's in charge of, all these conference rooms. Here's the quote. "We were so impressed with the sound quality, with the ease of install and the ease of use of the HDL 300, that's the one they have. It was a no-brainer for us to adopt it." That's what they use throughout. If you want to know more about how Nareva Audio is the simple, cost-effective way in this day and age, let your teams distance in meetings and still act and converse naturally. Check it out. Nareva, NUREVA.com/twit. That's Nareva.com/twit. Thank you, Nareva, for supporting the Tech Guy podcast. Thank you for supporting us. If you need this, check it out. If you've got a classroom or meeting room, go to Nareva.com/twit. It's time for our photo guy. Chris Marquardt is here. He is my photo sensei because he's at sensei.photo, SENSEI.photo. That's where he does instruction, coaching, helps photographers get better. We were talking before the break, we were talking to Jim about he's not a photographer, he's an artist, but he draws on an iPad and he wants to get high quality prints. I suppose that's the same thing for a photographer, right? Getting a digital image to a physical image requires some skill. How do you print your own photographs?
I used to. I don't anymore because I do not have the volume to keep the printer from clogging over time.
Right. You have to print every day if you want it to. Yeah.
It really requires, at least for some printers, it requires some volume. Printing also means you have to learn color management, which is a bit of a learning curve. But once you've done that, you have a lot of power, great choices between different media. But I'm at the point where I have a few service providers who I trust, who I know give me the right quality. So
now you're in Germany, where actually some of the best printers in the world are in Germany. So you have an advantage. I don't know, here in the States, I think you'd have to just shop around. But
there's good professional labs that like Miller Photo, I think, is
Miller's
one of the good ones.
Yeah. Very well known.
I don't know all the other companies.
As I said, I use SmugMug, and I think SmugMug uses a good lab. I trust them to choose a good lab. So they do I think they do a good job. But I didn't mean to sidetrack you, because we have a topic for today.
We want to talk about pet photography because everyone has, over the last year, spent so much time with their pets. It's time to get some good photos of your pets. So I have brought together a gallery of pictures that other people have taken on Flickr. And let's just look through some general hints.
To the gallery up on our website, techguylabs.com, so that you can see these after the fact. But Chris, you'll describe them.
I mean, in general, your pets might be furry, or they have scales. Maybe you have a pet snake or a pet lizard. Well, you never know. Or your feathered friend. There's all these different textures and those different temperaments to work with, right? So, it is always every animal is different. Let's put it that way. So, there are ways to get good pictures of your animals. For example, one of the things I hear a lot, and I kind of agree with, is get on eye level with them.
Yeah. The eyes are really. I mean, you have the first picture you have is a woman on the street. It's kind of a street photo with walking her dog. But that's really as much about the woman, the street, the milieu as it is about the dog. But when you really start to focus on the animal, getting those eyes really makes it.
Eyes are key. Catch lights in the eyes, the little reflections from a window or from a light source in the eye make them very alive. With cat's eyes, if it's a bit darker, if you have a light really close to the lens, you'll get the eyes to light really up. It can be eerie in the dark, but sometimes works really well. Catch their gaze. I find a lot of the pictures where the animal looks at the camera have the most strength. And
how do you catch their gaze, though? Because you're on the other side of a machine. They can't.
You've got to be quick. Well, you get their attention by, I don't know, rattling with the toy, snipping of fingers, getting some noise going. Noises are your friends in that situation, but be ready. Don't have the camera in front of you, snip your finger, then the cat looks over, you take the camera in front of your eyes and the cat looks away again. Have the camera
Chris, do me a favor. We're losing you. Can you turn off the video? The audio quality's going downhill. I don't care about the video.
All right.
I see the kitty cats.
Yep.
And you're right. If this is a good example. Here's a picture of a dog lying on the floor, and you don't have one eye has a little catch light, but the other one doesn't. And there is a difference. The eye that has the light is more alive, isn't it? Than
absolutely.
The other one looks like just kind of a shark, a dead eye.
Absolutely.
Staring at you. Yeah.
So again, be ready. That's the really important thing. When you catch their gaze, when they turn around their head, take the picture that moment. Don't wait. But take it, because the attention span of a pet is...
They're not going to look at you long.
Very long.
Unless you have treats.
It helps. Well, the treats might help. No, the treats are a problem, because then the pet runs towards you.
They come to you and get the treat. You're right.
And often the best way to shoot a picture of your pet is by using a telephoto lens. So you're a bit further away. You're not infringing into their space. You are kind of watching from the outside. And the moment you hold up treats, you might have the pet come too close.
Now, here's an example of
potentially a bit of a problem.
I guess that's a parrot. And he's got the treat in his little paws, so he's busy.
Then you have all the time in the world to take that picture. Absolutely. So telephoto is a good one, and of course, try to capture the personality of your animal. If it's an animal that loves to sleep, then take pictures of it sleeping. If it's an action animal, if it's a dog who runs around all the time, then have a camera that shoots fast and a lot, because you might want to shoot a big burst of something and just just search for the right one in between the big heap of photos you've just taken.
There are of late cameras that will do, a lot of cameras now will focus on the human face, which is really cool.
Right.
And of late, there are cameras that focus on the human eyes, which is wonderful. My Sony does that. And there are now even cameras that will focus on pets' eyes automatically.
More and more cameras have that built in. They have a little AI network routine built in that knows eyes, and it knows eyes from, it can tell if that's a pet and focus on the eyes, which is where you want the focus to be. So if you have one of those, hey, you're golden. You will have the focus in the right spot.
This is a picture of a snake. I don't think that the camera probably can tell the eyes from any other part of the snake.
Probably not.
So that's up to you.
And by the way, what really helps is know your pet, because every pet, if you know them well enough, has their body language, and you can be one step ahead. If my cat is twitching that ear this way, it'll probably get up and do something. So know your pet. It really is the key to get the right picture. If you know what they're up to, you can catch them out.
Now, this is a more advanced topic here. Here you have a cat, but you also have a mouse. Fortunately, the mouse is in a cage.
Pets with pets, yeah.
Two animals is more than twice as hard as one.
Well, but this is telling a story. I mean, a photo with a cat on top of a cage with a mouse. I'm not sure the mouse is too happy about that, but it tells a story. It does tell a story. Same with the picture after that, where you have a kid with its pet in a box. I mean, isn't that a wonderful story? The first mouse you got or something.
So that's the difference between having just an animal in the picture and having an animal with something else, especially its owner, or Yeah, because it really does tell more of a story. Yeah.
And I think that's important because our pets and us, that's two sides that go together.
Right. So. Although a great picture of your kitty cat is always welcome. This is a nice close-up. I think he must have had a mouse on top of the lens to get that cat to pay attention.
It's a very long telephoto lens.
Oh,
there's somewhere.
Yeah, because you can't get this close to a cat. No.
Not really.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, these are fun. I love this idea. Let's take more pictures of our pets. Now, Chris, we're still doing our assignment, or are we? I can't remember.
Yes, we are. It's the X assignment X. The shape X, and the tag is TGX Cross.
TGX Cross. Upload it to Flickr.
Yeah.
Submit it to the Tech Guy group. You can join the group for free. You can join Flickr for free. Renee Silverman, our moderator, will thank you. And in a couple of weeks, Chris will pick 3 submissions to the X assignment to review. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Of course, as soon as I said something bad about OBS Ninja.
Why on earth does that happen? Okay, let's go Zoom for the next time. I give up.
I give up. We all give up.
It's definitely not my DSL line.
And it's
definitely
not.
not.
No, I mean, and it's not. It's us. There's something we're doing in our network routing.
By the way, Leo, just something I forgot to tell you. Yes, last week. Thanks very much also from Steve for giving this a shot, because that was
Steve
cool.
Seguin. Yeah.
Yes.
The author. Well, yeah.
Just want to make sure you know that this is really highly appreciated that you did this experiment, and yeah, it doesn't work out, so too bad.
Yeah, I hate to. Frankly, I'd far prefer to use OBS Ninja than.
Yeah, but you have a show
Zoom.
to run. I mean, I totally get it.
But it has to work. Yeah, I don't know why.
Totally get it.
It's working fine now.
I know.
And we have, John, did he? I think we're on Skype One, which is a more modern machine. We are, we are digging into this. We're replacing 2 of our Skype machines are pretty old, so we're replacing those.
And it's not the machine. The decoding is almost never the problem, and the encoding on my side is stable. I do this several times a week. So
yeah, I don't think it's at the other end. I think it's something about, and we know WebRTC has trouble with complex network routing, but I asked Russell, I don't think our network is too complex. There's a dedicated circuit just for these machines. We might try. We have 3 different ISPs.
It worked really well for the longest time. So with my connection, we had no problems, and then all of a sudden they started. So yeah, I can live with Zoom. Not happy about it, but
I'm sorry.
It's better than.
Are you on OBS right now? You stayed on OBS.
This is always Ninja right now.
Yeah. So I don't know why it cleared up as soon as we were over. It was over. I just don't know what's going on.
Yeah, there are a bunch of potential issues, but we could do some more troubleshooting, but I don't think you want to spend so much more time and effort on this.
I think we're going to move to Zoom.
I understand.
Sad to say. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Next week.
Take care.
On Zoom.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
It's Pi Day. Hey! I finally figured it out. Because she told me Professor Laura's been playing pie songs all day. Honey Pie and Bye Bye Miss American Pie. Because it is March 14th, 314, colloquially known as Pi Day, because, of course, pi is 3.14159. I can go on, shall I? I used to know them all. My daughter in high school, or maybe it was grade school, not all. I never knew them all, but I knew about 20 digits. I know it's not my studio manager, who is ever precise, says it's an infinite, it's an irrational number. It's an infinite progression. It goes on and on and on and on and on. But I used to know about, I don't know. You know what the mnemonic for pi is? How I want to drink, alcoholic, of course, after the heavy chapters on quantum mechanics. Did you know that? How, 3, I, 1, 4, want, A, 1, drink, 5, alcoholic, 10, or 9, rather, of, 2, course, and on and on and on. My daughter in high school on Pi Day, this was a way, I guess, of getting kids interested in math, or conversely, to hate math, had a competition to memorize pi to the longest number of digits. I think she won. I think she got it to 100 digits. I wonder if she still knows. I'll have to ask her. Let me just text her. Do you still know pi to 100 digits? 8888 ask Leo, the silly things we geeks do. Happy Pi Day. Dan is pi is a good thing to celebrate. Everybody loves pi. Dan's on the line from Cleveland, Ohio. Hello, Dan. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Very good. Very good. First-time caller.
Thank you.
Listen to you a lot.
Good.
I have a question that I don't know if you can really get to or not and explain. But recently I have moved, I guess I can say the national name of a product.
Of course you can.
TurboTax.
Oh, yes. That's the king of tax prep programs.
Well, it is, yeah. Well, I moved it from a older years 16 to 19.
Okay. You want to always, by the way, here's a little tip.
Yes.
Tax laws change every year. So you always want to use the most recent TurboTax.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
And I've done that.
Yes.
But
you want the 2020 TurboTax now. This is for...
No.
No?
I'm sorry. No, what I've done was I moved the saved files. From one hard drive. I moved them from one hard drive to a new laptop to my desktop page. And after getting done, I realized what I did was I moved files. You know, the red check that comes up and you click on and it opens up for you.
Okay.
It didn't download it onto my desktop.
Oh, okay. So you don't have your old tax files.
Right. I got them, but they're all separate. I mean, they're all hundreds and hundreds of different files.
Oh, I see the problem. Yeah.
I'm not an expert at this. I'm really novice at it, and I've messed up. And do you know if there could be some way that I can go in and change something that will get me to the desktop to click on and bring up my tax files for that year the way that it's sequential and comes up with TurboTax?
So normally the way you would do it is from within TurboTax, instead of doing what you did, which was manually copy them. You export them from TurboTax because it's going to create a file that the next year's TurboTax can import. I don't know what you got with those copies. You still don't have the original files somewhere? They're gone?
No, they're gone. Yeah. I mean, I have the paper. I have paper, yes.
Yeah.
I have the paper file.
Yeah. See, I avoid this by using the online version of TurboTax because when I log in, it goes, oh, would you like me to import last year's? And I say yes, and then I'm done.
Oh, okay.
I would recommend that unless you don't want that information online, but I think you can trust into it with your... God knows millions of people give them their tax information. So for future reference, that's what I would do is the online. But the way they say to do it is you go to the file menu and you save a backup, and then that backup file is a single file you could take with you, put it on the new computer, and then open it up in the next year's TurboTax, and you'd be good to go.
Okay.
I would.
Right.
So you got a folder with some stuff in. I don't know if it's good enough to use. You might try opening from TurboTax. Just say open and go to that folder and see if anything comes in. You're looking for .tax files, .tax files.
Okay.
So if you can find, it may be that when you copied the files you copied included, all the stuff you copied included something you really needed, which is the .tax file. And then my suggestion is from now on, you might, worst case, sign up for TurboTax online this year. You've got your paper return. You're going to have to enter your social and your address and your name and your previous year's tax and all that stuff. It won't be that many items. And then you can, now going forward, it'll save it online. I really like that feature.
Well, that's a good piece of information.
Yeah.
I will have to do that next year.
So look in that thing that you copied and see if there's a .tax file.
.tax, okay.
Yeah. Actually, it might. Okay, they're telling me now it'll be .tax, and it'll be for the year that you filed the taxes. So .tax 2019 for last year.
Okay.
So look for that.
I'm going to do that then.
All right, Dan.
Thank you very much for your help.
Sorry about tax day. I know when we get to Pi Day, then we only have a month till tax day. It's a terrible, terrible thing.
I know.
Have a good one. Take care. Yeah, I completely trust TurboTax. They've been doing this for a long time. I think I hope they keep your data safe. There is data in there you don't want bad guys to get. Name, address, birthday, and social. It's pretty much all they would need to impersonate you. But TurboTax knows that, Intuit knows that, and I'm crossing my fingers they're keeping that safe. Back to the phones we go. I've got about a minute left. Martha, maybe we can get started anyway. Joshua Tree, California, beautiful area. Hi, Martha.
Hi. I listen to you all the time. Hey, unfortunately, I own a Casira printer.
Uh-oh.
I love it to death, really, and Windows 10.
Uh-oh.
And you know about the March update that just killed a whole bunch of printers. Have you heard anything? Is Microsoft going to fix this little boondoggle?
It's up to Casira to update it.
No, Casira says it's not their drivers. That's a Microsoft issue. I've been emailing constantly with my Casira reps, and their big deal is, oh, no, Microsoft has got to fix it. It's not our drivers. I think it's full. It's their drivers,
I think they're full of it.
So do I.
Because, yes, Microsoft maybe can fix it. It may be that Microsoft did something that broke their drivers. And obviously, it broke a number of printers' drivers.
Yeah, Brother got taken out.
Yeah. So that is a fix that Microsoft can make.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably also a fix they can make. I think you just have to wait and hope that Microsoft sees the light and fixes it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's really frustrating.
Yeah, we had to uninstall. We got the update on Patch Tuesday or whatever. Got it and started all the office computers up in the morning, and they all went to print. They all crashed.
It's funny because we have Kyocera printers here too. I wonder if we had the same problem.
Yeah. I don't know. It also took out our local Copper Mountain College. I'm friends with the IT techs over there. And matter of fact, one of is my support guy. And it took out the college's computers.
Oh, man.
I mean,
So did you get a blue screen of death? Did it crash your computer?
Yes, I got the blue screen of death.
Wow.
And,
so Microsoft says, we're working to resolve an issue impacting a subset of customers using a certain printers.
Yes.
Microsoft does have, it's a subset of Type 3 printer drivers.
Mm-hmm.
So Type 3, they said that they are, let's see, I'm looking at an article. I'll put this in the show notes from Bleeping Computer. He's really good on this stuff. This came out yesterday.
Okay.
So this is an update.
Yeah, I know that site. So
yeah, Bleeping Computer says there's a temporary fix from Microsoft, a workaround, Microsoft calls it.
Yeah, you uninstall the update.
Huh?
That's their workaround.
Huh?
You uninstall.
If you don't want to remove the security, oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
You can use, no, you don't have to.
Oh.
So, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You open an elevated command prompt, run the following command to find if the feature is already toggled on. Run DLL32 print UI.dll print UI entry /xg/n/ printer name. I'm not expecting you to write this down. I'm going to put the link up in the show notes. So there is a workaround that does not involve uninstalling the security update. You do want the security update. Here's the deal. Microsoft will fix this.
Oh, good. I hope so.
Too many people suffering from this.
Well, I'm a Windows 7. They should have never have changed.
Oh, Lord, don't get me started. If direct printing is not... So it looks like there is a command that recommends enabling direct printing for your printer, which will allow you to continue to use the printer without uninstalling that security update. And then I would, since you've already uninstalled it, you've got the printer working, I would just wait until you see a notice that Microsoft has reissued those cumulative updates so that it doesn't break your printer. Are you on Windows 10 2004 or 20H2? Are you a...
I have Windows 10, and it's on a brand new spanking computer that we've just had since January.
So it's the version that I'm curious about because, well, this article describes which KB update to remove.
Okay,
You've already done that.
My guy took it out for me. Yeah, I have a Kyocera Ecos M354.
Yeah, apparently all the Kyocera printers failed.
Yeah. And they're a fairly, decent company. I mean.
Yeah. No, that's what we use.
Yeah.
That's what we use. So I'm going to put, we're going to put this link in the show notes to the Bleeping Computer article. You will see the fix there, bleepingcomputer.com. It came out yesterday. You'll see the fix there, and then almost certainly Microsoft will fix this. I'd be shocked if they didn't.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah. And I think Kyocera is right when they say it's not their fault. It sounds like Microsoft did something dopey.
Yeah. I mean, one would think you would have beta tested before you unleashed this on it.
Yeah. So that's a serious blue screen of death. Wow.
Yes. Oh, wow. I was 4 a.m. I was panicking because I opened my office at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get my tech until I started texting him immediately, and he didn't respond back from home until like 6.
Yeah. Whew, I don't blame you. So you're fine for now. The problem with not having a security patch installed is you're also a sitting duck for now.
Oh, I know. Well, we halted it till believe the 25th or 26th.
Yeah.
So he did that, and matter of fact, at his home office, he's got the same printer, so he's monitoring it.
Yeah.
To see when we can, and then he'll refix my thing. Lucky, I don't. This is a business computer. I don't. I go on the internet to get to the multiple listings.
That's fine. That's fine. MLS will be all right.
Yeah, MLS will be fine, and then I send reports to banks and things. But they're all on secure.
Just don't go to pirate sites for the latest UFC fight. You're all right.
No, I do that on my television.
Good.
Okay. Well, thank you. It was a pleasure.
I'm so glad you called, and I'm glad we can find a solution too, Martha. That's great.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Take care. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, Skype will work to call us. Shouldn't cost you a penny. 8888 Ask Leo. We got some lines open, unusually. So this would be a good time to try to call. Website where I put all the answers is techguylabs.com. And I put an answer up for Martha there. I didn't realize this, but there is the cumulative updates that Microsoft shipped on Tuesday, Patch Tuesday, last Tuesday, apparently broke a large number of printers, including printers from Kyocera. Now, by the way, Martha's call precipitated a fairly lengthy conversation in our chat room about how to pronounce Kyocera. Kyocera. The KYO at the beginning of Kyocera is apparently pronounced the same as the KYO at the end of Tokyo, but I know we're doing it wrong. It's a Japanese company, actually famous for their ceramics, but they got into the printer business. And actually, we have a Kyocera printer here in our studios. Apparently, this Windows 10 update broke not just Kyocera, but a lot of other printers. I have put a fix. There is a temporary... Microsoft actually takes the blame for this one. I was blaming Kyocera, but it broke enough other companies' printers that I don't think it's their fault. And boy, by the way, it's a spectacular failure. You get a blue screen of death when you try to print. Whoa, that's not good. Microsoft told bleepingcomputer.com, which is, by the way, a great resource if you're interested in this stuff. He does a great job keeping up on all the ins and outs of Windows these days. He says Microsoft contacted Bleeping Computer to say, we are working to resolve an issue impacting a subset of customers using certain printers. Microsoft's taking the blame. It affects a subset of Type 3 printer drivers, do not affect printer drivers that are Type 4. Do you know what type your printer driver is? I don't. Well, I have no idea. but it did impact Kyocera, Ricoh, and Dymo printers. And again, it's not really the printer that seems impacted. Windows has a blue screen of death when you try to print. Microsoft is almost certainly, I would be shocked if they didn't fix this, going to ship an update that will fix this. The problem with uninstalling the update is that cumulative update may have security patches that you really need. These days, it just doesn't pay to toy with security flaws in Windows. So Martha's fix, her guy said, all right, we'll just uninstall that update, and it worked. Better not to uninstall the update. There is a workaround. It involves some command line typing that enables something called direct printing. It's complicated, and my suggestion is that we'll put a link at techguylabs.com to this article from Bleeping Computer, or you can search for Microsoft shares temporary fix, bleepingcomputer.com. That'll probably take you right to the article, and follow those instructions, which I'm not going to say on the air because it involves some tricky commands in the command line, but it is fixable. That's a workaround anyway from Microsoft. And if you haven't yet done the cumulative update, boy, this one is tough. I hate to say not to do it because, God only knows what they're fixing. Might be something that could bite you. I never want to see anybody put off critical updates. At the same time, it's not a good thing to have a blue screen of death when you try to print. So I would do the updates. If you do get the blue screen of death, this fix will save you until Microsoft fixes the fix. There have been lately some real issues with Microsoft. Of course, I talked about it last week. There was a very serious flaw in Microsoft's email server, Exchange server, and Outlook web access that has apparently allowed Chinese hackers, governmental hackers from China, to break into the email systems of more than 100,000 companies now, and the number keeps going up. Read all their email, download their email, download attachments, download whatever they want. And even after you fix this bug, they may still be lurking on your system. So it's a terrible flaw. Terrible flaw. So this is why I always say when Microsoft offers you a security patch, do it. Don't skip the security patches. 8888 ask Leo. Xavi is on the line from my favorite city in Spain, Barcelona. I'm sorry, in Catalonia. Hello, Xavi.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi. Fine. How are you?
I am wonderful. It's great to talk to you.
Yes, I wanted to call you because I must tell you that I love your show.
Oh.
And every afternoon while I'm walking the dog in the park, I listen to your podcast, and every day I say by myself, I must call him.
Xavi, it's a thrill to hear that. Thank you so much. And I must say, I love your city. So it's
I know. Even. I know that you've been here. I know. And you like pan con tomate and jamón.
I do. You know that.
Yeah.
Pan con tomate I had never had before, and that is the best thing ever.
And I would love if you come again to call me before.
I will.
I will be your tour guide.
I can't wait till we can go back.
Yeah.
My wife agrees. She says we have to spend more time in Barcelona.
Yeah. It's a nice city. You know that Catalonia has had some political...
Oh, I know. There were big protests the last time we were there.
Yeah.
What's the status of that? Catalonia wants to separate. Some people want to separate from the Spanish government. What's the latest on that?
Exactly. It's a big problem here, because it's in the news every day. And, we have several politicians from Catalonia, even our president, that it's abroad now because he has to leave Spain, and others are in the jail. It's really hard.
Yes.
The rest of the world, they don't know that, I think. But
no, I don't think it's widely known. But when we were in Barcelona, of course, the protests were over these politicians who had been jailed. And Spain is not treating Catalonia well. So
no, it's like the Hong Kong issue. It's even in Hong Kong, I saw when they had the protest that they play our protest songs. And
interesting.
And they were with our flag, our independent flag. Well, anyway, I wanted to say that I love your show. I listen to you every day.
Thank you.
In the dog.
Thank you, Xavi.
And if I have any question in the near future, I will call you.
You don't have to call. I'll just be thinking of you and knowing you're there walking the dog. Maybe you went up to the Park Güell and you're overlooking your beautiful city and all the amazing Gaudí statuary. Perhaps you're enjoying a pan tomat with a little jamón ibérico, perhaps.
We used to eat that in at home. It's a typical food. For dinner, it's very normal.
Oh, it's a beautiful
I've been in the States several times, in California, even in California. And when I show them to my friends in the States, they are quite surprised sometimes. And with the jamón, some people don't like it.
I like it.
You know that it.
I like it.
Yeah. When you taste it's great, no? But when you see it, it looks like a raw meat. And some people say, oh.
I had a jamón ibérico on my counter in my kitchen for a long time. I got the stand. My producer Carson gave it to me. It was beautiful. Sliced it very thinly. But there's only so much ham one family can eat. After a while, it's okay. That's enough. I'm ready for more.
He eats dinner time now, and I'm hungry.
See, I made you hungry. It's a pleasure talking to you, Xavi. I'm glad to know you're listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care. And I guess Viva el Catalán. Or, there's probably, you see, it's a different language. They don't speak, I guess they do speak Spanish, Castilian Spanish, but the Catalan language is a different language. Beautiful area. That's, it's going to be interesting because that's where Mobile World Congress, which is the big telecom conference, that's where companies announce new phones and so forth. It's scheduled to go live in Barcelona in June. It really, the cancellation of MWC, Mobile World Congress, in February of last year was for us geeks, the first big sign something's going on. Something's wrong. It was in February of last year. And they really wanted to have it. They were going to have it. And then all of a sudden, all the phone manufacturers, Samsung and Sony and Ericsson said, yeah, we're not going. They didn't. It basically had to shut down. So the GSM Association, which does Mobile World Congress, has decided, we're going to try again with a live show in Barcelona in June. I don't think it's going to happen. And even if it does, I'm not going. As much as I love Barcelona, I think I'll wait. The truth is, I think one of the things that's happened thanks to the pandemic is we've learned we don't have to have these big trade shows. Pretty much every company has had online shows, whether it's developers conferences or product introductions, and they've done quite well. I think the future may be that these big trade shows like Mobile World Congress just don't make sense anymore. It's a long way to go. On the other hand, where are you going to get the pan tomat and jamón ibérico here in California if I'm watching some Ericsson video? It's not the same. It's not the same. The ratio of a circle's radius to its circumference. I don't know how I know that. I guess, isn't it funny how you take geometry in like 9th grade or 10th grade and you learn that pi r squared, the circumference of a circle is pi times the radius squared. You learn that, and it somehow sticks. I've never used it since then. Actually, maybe I have. It might be in some. It's the area. What is it? Did I get it wrong? That's the area. It's pi r squared is the area. Is that right? Oh yeah, because the r squared, of course, it's the area.
Yeah, let's move on.
I guess I didn't remember it very well. I'm sorry, Mr. DeVore. I forgot my geometry. Well, what is the circumference then? 2 pi r, right? So it's the diameter times pi. That's what it is, 2 pi r. Pi r squared is the area. Okay, we got that. We got that fixed. Cliff is on the line. I got a lot of people who remember their high school geometry. Cliff is on the line. I got corrections from both Professor Laura and my studio manager, John. Hi, Cliff. From Orange, California, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
How's it going, Leo? Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Great, welcome.
I have a problem. I ran out yesterday and bought myself a brand new Apple Watch Series 6.
Oh, aren't you happy?
Well, I was going to be, and then I learned that with the wrist detection on, I have both my arms fully tattooed, and something with the sensors, like pretty much locking out the Apple Watch.
Yeah, it doesn't work if you're sleeved, if you're very hairy. Some people with darker skin tones as well, it doesn't work as well.
Yeah, so I came across a Reddit post that was suggesting putting these clear stickers on the bottom of the watch, and they were finding quite a success with that. Do you have any... Can you tell me why that seems to be working for them?
I can't even imagine the way the watch, and what you're going to get fall detection is going to work, motion's going to work, all of the things that have to do with the accelerometer will work. The thing that's not working is, and if you look at the bottom of your watch, you know it has a green light that it bounces out of the watch through your skin, bounces off the blood vessels and back into the watch, and they're able to use that to measure things like heart rate, blood flow. They even now can do things like VO2 max, although if you look carefully at the fine print at the bottom of the page, it says that's calculated from your heart rate. So there's a few things they're calculating from that. Boy, that's a shame. They don't say that very clearly, do they?
No. I definitely did not get like a pre-warning of, hey, which I think they should be for the price you're paying and whatnot. You'd want to know. And I'm surprised even in their testing that no one seemed to bring that up.
Yeah, I mean, when the watch came out, and not even Series 6, a few series ago, maybe even the original Apple Watch, I remember this coming up. And we, I have some colleagues who are sleeved. I have some black colleagues, the results vary, but it doesn't work as well. I don't understand why a clear sticker would help.
No, I don't either, but these people swear by it. It's very interesting. So I got a pack coming from Amazon.
Okay.
I'll follow up and let you
So what
know.
do they say? They put it on the watch?
They on the bottom side they attach these they look like clear epoxy dots for like bottle make crafts or something like that. And I found that the best work is almost like a third cut so that the watch is still able to charge like normal, and they cover that sensor, and maybe it's allowing the light to burst brighter and see the skin more. I don't know.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's acting like a little bit of a lens.
Yeah,
that might be what's happening. Well, I think you nailed it. And it's just able to go through the ink and get to your blood vessels. Wow. I mean, there's still lots of other things you can do with the Apple Watch.
No, absolutely. I've been using it with wrist detection turned off, and there, the navigation and everything else, being able to adjust my music.
Oh, but it can't. Oh, that's not good. It doesn't even do wrist detection.
No,
that's not good, and that's kind of a critical feature because if you want to use Apple Pay, for instance, that's the security. It's the plethysmograph sensor. But so I knew that it would impact heart rate sensing, but I didn't realize it would break the wrist sensor.
What ends up happening is that wrist detection locks it out every time it searches for the wrist.
How frustrating.
Find it.
I'm going to put a link in the show notes to a good article about this from iMore. But, let me know how those stickers work. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, this article is from my friend Serenity Caldwell, who now works at Apple, back in 2015. So it's when the first came out, because I remember her boyfriend, now husband, was sleeved and ran into this. But I did not. Oh, that's dark solid colors seem to give the sensor the most trouble.
And that's what I have is just black right through both my wrists. So okay, great. Leo, I do have one other quick question for you, if I can shoot it your way really fast.
Sure.
So I purchased a wireless charger through a company called Charge ASAP, which is a like 210 watt, like graphene battery charger.
210 watts? Whoa.
It's crazy. It's really neat technology. And last night I was going to plug it in and charge it. And the 100 watt charger that I use, that, same company that provides it, it just pretty much, it won't accept a charge. It's just blinking out. And so, would you think that it's a battery issue, or do you think that it might be the USB-C charging port is having a problem?
I don't think you can go over 100 watts. So you're saying it's wireless charger or it's a wired charger?
It's a battery bank that has a wireless charger on the top of it, and then out of it has a 60 watt and a
yeah. So the Qi charging, the wireless charging working?
It does okay.
It's not going to be much faster because the Qi standard limits the wattage that it can use. It's just not going to. But and then the power delivery standard, I think, is limited to 100 watts. So I'm confused about this. They're using graphene on this charger to make it more powerful. And so it doesn't recognize it at all, you're saying?
Yeah, when I plug it in there, it used to charge fine. I think I could get it to full in like 30 minutes, like they advertised. It was working perfectly. And then last night I went to plug it in, and I can't get it to charge with that
frustrating
100 watt unit. Now I moved it over with a different USB-C cable and my Apple 30 watt charger and plugged it in there, and I was able to get it to function. So I'm starting to almost think that maybe it's the power outlet itself that
maybe
is charging, because I'm not being able to get it to respond at all with
it. So the device still charges just fine. It's the flash that doesn't charge. Doesn't work. So maybe something's wrong with the flash. Can you get it to charge anything else?
Last night it was giving me problems where I couldn't, out of the 100 watt, because that's where you charge it and you can use it obviously to dish out power. I wasn't being able to get any output out of it. And then this morning I drained it completely, charged it to full again with the Apple charger, and I was able to finally get it to start giving me power again, but very finicky and odd.
Yeah, I would actually return the unit. They're kind of a startup. This was an Indiegogo, as I remember. And
that's how I ended up.
Yeah, it may be that they had some bad units. How old is it now?
I've had it for less than a year, to be honest.
Yeah, I would contact them. Yeah,
I sent them an email this morning, and hopefully I can either get a new device or they can troubleshoot it.
Yeah, it sounds like it's malfunctioning, to be honest. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, these guys are not this is kind of a startup, so they may have some quality control issues that they probably know about, to be honest with you. And if they're a good company, they're going to replace it.
Cool. Well, I really do appreciate it, Leo.
Pleasure to meet you. Now that you know the way, call again, okay?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Cliff.
Leo.
See ya. Bye-bye. It's time for our rocket man himself, Rod Pyle. He's the author of many books about space, including Space 2.0 and a wonderful commemoration of Apollo 11. He's the editor-in-chief of the National Space Society's magazine Ad Astra, and I am fortunate to get to talk to him every week about space. We had a launch this morning. Another rocket went up and came back down and landed safely, and 60 more Starlinks are up in the air.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? And that booster has been flown now 9 times.
That's incredible.
So Musk is really hitting this goal of reusability. People up until he started doing that and was successful about 2014, 2015, people said, you can't reuse a rocket. We just throw them away in the ocean.
No, that's a waste.
We'll land them in the ocean.
That's a waste.
Right.
Now, I have to say, when we talk about space, a lot of the interesting things are being done by machines like Perseverance, the Mars rover. But ultimately, it's the humans we care about. And frankly, the astronauts we care about.
Yeah.
To go up there and to do that, to be a rocket man is something.
It is. And they all come back transformed in one way or another. Some are more eloquent about expressing it than others. But the idea of the overview effect, which is came from Frank White's book in the 1980s, it's a seminal change. You know, these people come back and they realize that the Earth is one big community, one big ecosystem with a very thin, delicate atmosphere that just looks like a fingernail if you look at it edge on.
That little blue marble that everything we ever known, every bit of human history has happened on.
Oh, now you're out doing Carl Sagan.
And I'm not outdoing him. I'm paraphrasing him.
Yeah. So today is the birthday of Gene Cernan.
He's legendary.
Yeah, and he's not with us anymore, but he was born on this day in 1934. And I only met him once very briefly, but just the nicest guy. And towards his later years, got very philosophical and reflective. But what a career. So starts out with a degree in engineering in 1956 from Purdue, comes a naval aviator. And by the time he was done flying, he had flown on Gemini 9, Apollo 10, and Apollo 17. So one of a very few number of people that actually went to the moon twice, although only landed once. Gemini 9, he was a last-minute replacement. He was on the backup crew with Tom Stafford, but the two prime crew members were killed in jet crashes. Yeah, very sad. So very quickly, they ginned up to take that flight. And, you know, Gemini was moving fast. They'd fly every few weeks to accomplish the steps that we needed to do the Apollo program. This one was to rendezvous and dock with a unmanned Agena target vehicle. And the cowling came snarled up and wouldn't open up. So they had to just rendezvous and sort of back away and get close and back away, but they couldn't actually dock. But he was actually going to fly the predecessor to the manned maneuvering unit, which finally flew on the shuttle program. But spacewalking was still a tough thing, and he was only doing the second one after Ed White. And by the time he got back to the rear of the Gemini capsule, he was so exhausted, his visor was fogged up. He was trying to clear a little spot to look through with his nose, and it just wasn't happening. So they called him back in, and that was the end of that. Then on Apollo 10, which was the dress rehearsal for the Apollo 11 landing, he and Tom Stafford descended down to about 50,000 feet above the lunar surface. Everything was going great. You know, they got a look at the Sea of Tranquility where Apollo 11 was going to land, got some pictures. And then they dropped the descent stage to go back up to orbit. And suddenly, because of some erroneous commands embedded in the computer, the lens started spinning.
Oh, no.
And, you know, had it done a few more rotations, it's unclear how many times it actually spun. He thought it was 8. NASA thinks it's less. But in any case, had it spun many more times, they probably would have crashed. And so he and Stafford are trying to wrestle this thing back under control. And they both swore a couple of blue words because, you know, they're Navy guys, right?
Yeah,
they're going to do that.
And they're spinning out of control. I would have sworn a few words too.
And they get back to Earth and all is well. And then NASA calls them in and said, "You guys swore on an open channel. That's not acceptable." So they actually got chastised for swearing when they were spinning out of control and facing death. And then finally, in 1972, in December, he is the commander of the crew that lands the last Apollo mission to the moon. Longest set of 3 EVAs, some of the best rocks, the biggest haul of rocks. And they discovered, I'm sure you remember that big sensation when he said, "There's orange soil here." They found a patch of volcanic glass.
Oh, glass. Wow.
Yeah, it had blown out of a volcanic vent sometimes way before. And just a magnificent mission. And he uttered that famous, you know, last man quote, which is almost as famous as Neil Armstrong's first man on the moon quote, talking about how God willing we shall return with peace and hope for all mankind and so forth. And it was just an incredible wrap up to the whole program.
It is kind of sad, though. He was the last man on the moon, and that was in 1972.
Yes.
Long time ago.
It is, and hopefully it won't be too much longer before we go back. I am heartened that the Biden administration is continuing to support the lunar landing program that was developed under Trump.
Oh, good.
Or started. And this is the first time there's been a cross-administration, cross-party continuation of an effort like that.
Good.
So that's a big deal. Yeah. So we're very happy about that.
Yeah. I know we have trouble on Earth, and there's lots to do here, but we can spare really a small fraction of the federal budget to do amazing science and very uplifting work with our space program. I think it's important.
Well, and it's 0.5% of the federal budget. You know, when you ask people in Gallup polls and so forth, how much is NASA spending, they kind of, you know, shrug and say, 25%?
Yeah.
No. We'd be to Jupiter by now if that was the case.
Yeah.
And, with the F-35 climbing up above $500 billion, it makes NASA's $22 billion a year look like a real bargain. Plus, the benefits to education and STEM fields, and so many people, not just the U.S., but all over the world, are so inspired by these things. And they'll tell you that, if you're willing to sit and listen. And it's, we've had the only truly transparent space program in history. Everybody knows about our successes and failures. Most people don't do that in most other countries. And I think it's amazing. And we share all that knowledge with the world. This isn't kept here.
Let's put it this way. The U.S. last year spent $33 billion on pizza. I think we could spend 22 going to the moon. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And other things.
Well, that makes me mindful of your story about the guy who spent his Bitcoins on pizza.
Yeah. Well, a good portion
he could have had his own space program.
Was in Bitcoin. No. Yeah. Can you imagine? We spent $33 billion on pizza. Yeah. Of that, by the way, $11 billion is just paying for delivery. So I think if we wanted pizza on the moon, we could afford it, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. Let's put it. Let's put Domino's in charge. They'll get there in 30 minutes or less. It's a great thing.
If you ever get a chance, there's a documentary on Cernan that was patterned after his biography called Last Man on the Moon.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about his experiences and how much he's changed and all that. But it was really beautifully done because he actually spends a fair amount of time apologizing to his first wife and his family about how much he was gone. He didn't realize how hard it was on them, and he was so focused on the mission. And then there's this tearjerker of a scene where he goes out to, I think it's pad 39A at the Kennedy Space Center where they launched from. And he stands there and looks around, and the thing, it hadn't been leased by SpaceX yet, so it was kind of in disrepair. It was kind of rusty and a mess, because this is a few years after the shuttle stopped flying. And he stood there and got a little teary and said, I remember, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah. I didn't see that documentary, but I remembered that particular segment. And it was very sad that we had let that pad kind of fall into disrepair. But it's been used now, and that's the good news.
Yeah, and glorious use. I mean, SpaceX has remodeled it and made it beautiful.
Much nicer.
Again.
Yeah. And it's got Teslas everywhere.
Yeah, now it looks like the future.
Rod
the past,
Pyle, he's the author of Space 2.0, editor-in-chief of Ad Astra, and our rocket man. Thank you, Rod. Great to talk to you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. It's, if somebody said if it's a choice between pizza and space exploration, I don't know. It's not a choice. Point is, we can afford both.
Yeah, I mean, we are still the richest country in the world.
We can afford both. $33 billion on pizza, $22 billion on NASA.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of consternation over the Space Launch System. We're spending, I think it's 100% over budget now, and billions of dollars a year trying to build this rocket that's expendable. None of it's reusable. And when you look at what Musk is doing and what Bezos will be doing probably later this year, launching his big New Glenn rocket and building the largest single chamber rocket engines in the world, let's go with those guys. Because by NASA's own internal studies, their costs are between half and 1/10 of what it costs to do it the old way. So it's a pretty easy calculus, but you've got Congress people that represent certain districts, and they want to keep business where they are.
They want to build the F-15. They don't care about space.
Yeah, and they want to build the SLS. And, I'm all for having another rocket system, because Musk or Bezos could wake up one morning and say, I don't want to do rockets anymore.
We do it together. Let's all do it together.
Yeah. I agree.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
Yes, sir. See you next week.
Have a wonderful week. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Apple pie. We're celebrating Pi Day 3.14 on the Tech Guy Show. Thanks to our fabulous musical director, Professor Laura. Thank you, Laura. And actually, this song was a suggestion from Kim Schaffer, our phone angel. So they're all collaborating to bring you Pi songs all day long. We got time for a couple more calls before we wrap this show up for the week. Vicky on the line from San Diego's next. Hi, Vicky.
Hi, Leo. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
Well, I don't know who to I don't know how to frame my question, so that's why I'm calling you to who to hire.
Okay.
So I've got a couple of problems. Number one is we actually have a telephone conversation. We have to actually go outside.
Oh, that's terrible. I'm sorry.
It's terrible. I know. We can talk for a minute or two, but then after that, it has to be outside.
Okay.
That's number one, and I think it's connected to the second one, which is when I bought a Roku TV, so I can watch Prime, I can watch live stream TV as well. But it always buffers.
Oh, yeah, they might be related. Let me ask you about your phone. You say it works for a little bit, then you have to go outside. Are you talking about your cell phone?
Yes.
Okay. So it probably is not, well, it might be related. Your cell phone has a capability, many phones do, depending on the carrier and the phone, to use Wi-Fi for phone calls when you're inside. Do you know if your phone is doing that?
Oh,
I'm betting it is. This you're right. They could be related. Let's say your internet access is inadequate. You're on the cell phone. You're talking. It's on Wi-Fi when you're inside, and it's kind of starting to break up. So you go outside. If you go far enough away, your Wi-Fi will end, and the cell network will pick it up, and you'll be fine. So one way to test that is to go into the settings on your cell phone. It'll be in the connection settings, and look for use Wi-Fi calling, and see if you can disable that. That will fix the problem unless your cell signal in the house is terrible. One of the reasons they use Wi-Fi calling, besides the fact that it saves them money, doesn't save you money, you still pay by the minute, but it saves them money. But the other reason they use it is because it is unusual as you go inside for cell signals to deteriorate a little bit. So it might be that's the other reason. But try turning off the Wi-Fi calling and see if that improves the phone calls on your cell phone. But they are related if it's Wi-Fi calling and your Roku is buffering, because in both cases, it's not enough internet. Tell me about your internet. Where do you get your internet?
It's through Cox.
So it's cable?
Yes, Cox cable.
And have they told you what your bandwidth is? You know, those two numbers, the big one and the little one?
That's what I want to know. How did you figure that out, bandwidth?
Well, you're buying it, so they should tell you. Usually when you buy internet access, there's different tiers for different speeds. So it should be on your Cox bill what tier you're in. And it may be that you're getting the cheapest Cox internet, in which case it may be so slow that it isn't adequate to watch TV. You want, Netflix has a help page that tells you what bandwidth you need for various quality. And if you wanted to watch HD quality, I'll quote this from Netflix. Now, it's going to be roughly the same for anybody, but for Netflix, they recommend 1.5 megabits, which is not much down per second. But if you want to watch HD, it's going to be 5 megabits per second. And if you want to watch Ultra HD, the highest quality Netflix offers, it's 25 megabits a second. So you're going to be given two numbers. Cox, you could call Cox and ask them, or you could look on your bill. There'll be a big number, that's the download speed, and a smaller number, that's the upload speed. You want at least 25. But also, if other people are using the internet at the same time as you're trying to watch your Roku, or if you have some issues internally in the lines inside, that could be a problem. Do you have did Cox give you the Wi-Fi box?
Which we promptly ignored, yes. You
got rid of it and brought and used your own?
I'm not sure. Wi-Fi, I'm not sure.
So there's two things you need when you have cable internet. You need a cable modem. That connects to the cable coming out of the wall and then turns that into internet, or Ethernet is technically what it's turning into, a wire that you could then plug into a router, which would then allow you to use Wi-Fi throughout your house. Most cable companies will give you one box that does both. So if you have one box in your house that's your internet box from Cox that's connected to the cable, that's it. If that's connected to something else, it's possible. In fact, all companies are required to allow you to bring your own equipment. You can use your own cable modem, and you can use your own router. And often, using your own router will give you better results. You don't necessarily need to replace their modem. So I would check see what your speed is from Cox. And then, once you know what you're supposed to get, Open up a browser on a computer. Do it first right next to the cable box, next to where your router is, and then start to move farther and farther away. Doing a speed test. And the speed test will give you an idea of what you're actually getting compared to what they're promising you. My favorite speed test is at broadbandreports.com or DSL. It's probably easier to type DSLreports.com. They have a broadband test on their page. It's not the front page, but if you look on the menu, it says speed test, and you can run that, and it'll give you an idea of what speeds you're getting. If you're getting something a lot less than the cable company's promising, then it might be worth a call to the cable company and say, what the heck's going on? Often their response to that will be, oh, you have an old box. We're going to give you a new one. They'll mail you a new one you replace it with. You may end up, though, doing better doing it yourself if you don't. Okay. You don't know whether you have your own Wi-Fi or not.
I don't.
Yeah. So that's one thing that can often improve it. So I would, first of all, find out what Cox is giving you. It may be not enough. You may be getting their lowest priced plan. I would generally, with cable, I would expect something like 100 down and 15 up. 100/15. Okay. If you don't have that, I would look at upgrading to that. It will be about $60 a month. That's pretty typical.
Okay, boy. Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I think that will solve both those problems. And honestly, turning off Wi-Fi calling might solve the phone problem without doing anything else. Air Show Rob, my buddy from Cincinnati's on the line. We only have a minute, Air Show Rob. What's up?
Oh, hi, Leo. Great show today. I really enjoyed Ron Pyle, by the way.
He's great, isn't he? Yeah.
I've got
Rob does play-by-play on these air shows, like the Blue Angel style air shows all over the country. Is the business picking up, Rob?
It's starting back up. It was a horrible year last year, but I'll be down in Florida next month to start off. But hey, I do a podcast, and you, when I listen to your podcasts, you're coming in with much better mastering than what I'm doing on mine.
I'm going to tell you my only secret. We use Adobe Premiere, but you could do this with Audition or almost any good editing program. Twisted Wave. Audition. Look in the compression settings. Because what we like to do, and I'm a big fan. I've worked in AM radio for years, right? And what they do is they compress the dynamic range. So the lower sounds, the quieter sounds are louder, and the louder sounds are quieter. All the sound is in a very narrow band. It makes it much easier to hear and understand. It's a setting you can use as one of your extensions in Adobe Audition, and it makes a huge difference. That's frankly, our secret. Not a secret anymore. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Have a great geek week. That's my number one tip to podcasts. In fact, I have to yell at I don't yell, but I have to strongly encourage our editors to increase the compression from time to time.
And I do compress already, and you run it through a maximizer, a Universal Audio maximizer.
I'm not a fan of the maximizers. I'm not.
You're not?
No, because what you really want to do is dynamic range compression and get it all in a fairly narrow range. The maximizer, if you have low levels, I guess, but frankly, the compression should fix all of that. And then maybe you could press it a little bit more. Make it sound like Boss Radio AM 640 KFI. You know that, right? Okay. Those were heavily compressed. If you go back and listen to the KHJ, it's if you look at the meters, they're like moving. They're hardly moving. They're fluttering in the middle.
Yeah. Okay.
But you already know about that, obviously, Rob. So I don't know. The other thing is to use good microphones and as clean a source as you can.
Leo, I use a U87. I go through a PreSonus console into Adobe Audition. I also use Pro Tools, and I do interviews with people. We send mics out to those guys we do interviews with. But I guess I just need to be more aggressive with my compressors.
Be aggressive.
I've got compressors on every input.
Well, that helps, but that's real-time compression, and I believe the post-compression is a little more effective. So
I'll do that.
We record flat. Actually, we run it a little bit through We have the Axia Omnia, so we run it through that a little bit, but not too much. I'd keep that flat and do it in post, because post it has more time, right? It doesn't have to be real time. The other thing, and you're going to hate me for this, your microphones are too good. So I'm not a fan. You've got $1,000, more than that, $1,500 microphones. And the problem is those are condenser mics, and they're super sensitive. That's what they use in recording studios for making music, but then they have to be in a booth because any sound, a pin drops, you hear it.
Oh, I've got a minus 68 dB noise floor.
Yeah, so we don't like that. I don't want that. I'm using a dynamic, these Heil PR40s, which are $330, because
I'm looking at it.
I don't want super sensitivity for the work, for this kind of vocal work. If I were Mariah Carey, I would use your beautiful, whatever it is you're using. I forgot what it was, but I don't use those fancy mics because they're too sensitive. They're too good.
Huh.
That's another
You're
tip.
Suggesting for the podcast that I go back to a less expensive mic.
I would get one Heil PR40, $330, and they're what they are is they're big coil dynamic mics.
Oh, I know. I'm looking at. I know you prefer that to the R20. You said
I could use. We could pay a lot of money for those fancy microphones, but I don't. I think, notice I'm not in a soundproof booth.
Yeah.
And I just think that may be. Whoa, sorry about that. I mean, your Neumanns are getting the most accurate sound. So they're brilliant mics. They're brilliant. But they're too, in my opinion, they're too accurate. They're too good. You don't want that for voice. You don't want to hear what's going on in the room. You don't want to hear the pin dropping. You don't want to hear my squeaky pop filter. I'm doing my own sound effects here. So I honestly think that might be, I would just get one. They're cheap. You're sending out, I can't believe you're sending out Neumanns. The other problem is.
Oh, no, I don't send out Neumanns to
Good.
anybody.
Okay. Hell no.
Neumann for me only.
Yeah. Well, what do you send out for the people? I mean, you could send them SM58s, get the cheap Shure dynamic mics would be probably fine.
That might be the thing, because the people I work with at Flying Magazine send out a hype mic. I forget who makes it, but it's a condenser too.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. That's why the way those blue mics, like the Yeti.
Yeah,
everybody uses those.
Gosh, that's horrible.
They're horrible because they've got the worst of both worlds. They're cheap condenser mics.
Yeah.
So I really love large coil dynamic mics for voice reproduction only. Actually, these are used for drums often. You see them sometimes on Bob Heil will talk about people like the Charlie Daniels Band use all his mics because for some instruments they're good. Maybe a trumpet you'd want to use a Neumann. But honestly, your voice is in a pretty narrow range. I don't like using Neumanns. I find them hard to use.
Well, if I didn't have a really good room, because I do voice work too, and I'm doing some audio books, so I've got
you might want keep your Neumann, yeah, but get a cheap large coil dynamic. You might say, oh, it's too muddy, because what you're going to lose is a lot of the thinnest high end stuff,
the detail
that you're getting from that Neumann.
Well, with maybe sending out something else. But I set up compressors on every input. When I finally mix it down in Pro Tools, so I can insert compressors everywhere. But I will wait until I will do post-production compression like you recommend.
Yeah, I would compress less in the going in, because those real-time compressors, they're doing it in real time. They're less expensive. The other thing is I use the compression that has the S curve. Which they may not even call compression. There's an S curve, and they may not call it compression in Audition. I can't remember what that plugin's called. But then you tweak the curve to get the sound that you want. And I always did it myself. Now that we have editors, I don't know what they're doing. But when I was doing it myself, I would tweak that curve. In effect, it's giving you both expansion and compression, because you could bring the floor up. But you can also, and in my opinion, it gives you a more intelligible voice because you're putting everything in the middle. And remember, people are listening in cars; they're listening in adverse circumstances. So
right.
What sometimes happens is people use better mics and better. They're doing it in a studio. You have good equipment. You shouldn't have good equipment. It's going to ruin. You get some cheap Oratones. You don't. That's why they have Oratones in mixed down studios because they know it's going to go on an AM radio. You know.
I got a couple of junk Radio Shack speakers.
Oh, good. All right. That's what you want. Mix to those because that's what people are using. I don't know. This is just me. I am not a sound expert.
But you're not a sound expert, but you've been around long enough.
I know what I like.
I was just slicing some tape today too.
Oh my God, those were the days. God, I remember
slicing block.
Oh man, I remember doing things. You could do things with tape. The other day I was watching. What was it? I was watching them make loops with a tape. They'd take the second reel off, and they'd have it across the room so they could have a longer loop, and some guy be holding the second reel so they can make loops. Who was that I was watching making their loops?
The Beatles did that.
Yeah, maybe the Beatles. Yeah. But there's things you could do with tape. Then I would tape the capstan to make it bigger, to give it to change the speed. There's all sorts of things. Those were fun days. I loved that. I did a lot of stuff with razor blades for years.
But didn't that make you a better editor when you went digital?
No.
No? Okay.
I mean, what made me a better editor was experience for sure. But it's so much easier in digital. What it made me do is, regret the years I spent splicing, taping, grease penciling, physical tape, and cutting myself. Oh, it's just a nightmare. And then re-editing, splicing the splices. I mean, it's so digital, so nice.
Oh my gosh, yes, pulling the tape off.
Oh my God,
fixing it.
Oh my God, it's
all to put an eighth of an inch of tape in there and make an S.
Exactly.
Oh,
so much easier
I'm
now.
72 years old, so I've been there. But
I'm catching up with you. If you stop, I'll be there in a few years.
I don't dare stop.
Don't stop. You know what that means.
No.
I always say I'm getting old. To my wife, she said, "Well, it beats the alternative."
Yeah. Oh gosh. Hey, thanks, Leo. That's a really good hint, particularly that doing it in post. And
I think you can overdo it in real time. Yeah, those boxes. I think you can overdo it. I would prefer to use a good dynamic mic, capture the sound flat, and then fix it in post.
Yeah. All right. That sounds good. So,
nice to talk to you, Rob.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
You too, and
great to hear from you.
And all the best. Yeah, and thanks for taking my call there at the end. It's I'm glad I got an open line today. It's fun.
I am too. And you know what? This whole call made it on the podcast, so that's all I care about. Truthfully, we may have more listeners on the podcast. I don't know, but
Netcasts.
Oh man, Netcasts.
I still like that better.
I do too. I was right. I'm not saying I wasn't right. I just gave up. I finally gave up. All right, Rob. Have a wonderful one. I hope business I think by this summer it's all coming back.
Yeah, I had 15 shows booked. I lost 5, picked up 1 more, so
that's not bad.
Up with 11.
That's not the end of the world. Yeah.
No, but I did pick up this podcast, and that's sponsored, so I'm making money with that already.
Yeah.
And that's fortunate. And the sponsor's going on for the rest of the year. It was a 6-month trial, 12 episodes.
Oh.
And so they like it.
Good. Congratulations. What's it about?
It is from Flying Magazine. It's based on their most popular column called I Learned About Flying from That.
Oh, fun.
And it's usually a 500 or 600 word article in the magazine, but I do a 30-minute deal with them.
So it's like stories about flying?
Well, about people who get into dicey situations and live to tell about it.
Nice. That sounds great. I'll have to listen to it. What's it called?
I Learned About Flying from That.
I Learned About Flying from That podcast.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's hosted by Anchor, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Spotify, in other words. Yeah.
Yeah.
Time for the rest
Spotify,
of
right.
the story. Oh, nice.
It is kind of like that. And then we do 20 minutes, and then we do a couple of, we got 2 30-second spots. We got a 20-minute interview, then we spot and then come back and do another 4 or 5 minutes about what they learned from that. And the interesting thing is that Flying Magazine gets letters every freaking month from pilots who have read the columns, gotten
and they want to be on the show. Yeah.
No, they got in the same situation, and it saved their lives.
Oh, wow, even better.
Yeah, so it's a legitimate, it's a valuable.
Flying a single-engine airplane over water beyond gliding range is something many pilots
sounds great.
do.
What are you talking about?
Flying a single across the Atlantic Ocean from the U.S. to Germany takes a special kind.
What don't you like about that? That sounds perfect.
Well, thank you. It's just not as loud as you are.
That's compression.
And a special brand of
be more.
That's compression. That's exactly what that does.
Planning.
It's psychologically louder. It's not.
Yeah.
That's why a maximizer doesn't do it, because it's looking at dB. It's not dB.
But taking a piss.
Somewhat true.
You still developed quite a skill for flying with all
I hear
of
the
your advanced
compression
ratings. You still went
That's the other thing is I hear the compression. That's from an inline compressor. Don't use it.
Well, it's in the box. It's not hardware. It's a software compressor. But so hold it there and do it at the end.
Do it flat, because I can hear the compressor. Right. I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
A single-engine airplane and flew across the Atlantic. Can you tell me about that?
Well, that was...
Yeah, you're getting it's a lot of compression. So you could probably use less compression and still sound louder. Now, of course, there's nothing you can do with the guy like this guy, because he's, you're getting a lot of room tone and stuff. There's not much.
Wanted to do. Unfortunately, that didn't work out that way, and mainly due to the fact...
Room tone is so hard.
Oh, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah. It's so hard. I used to try to... Audition has that really interesting spectral noise analyzer to get rid of stuff like that. But
yeah. It's still. Do you know George Whittam by any chance?
No, I don't.
He's one of the voiceover body shop guys, and he has designed studios for Joe Cipriano, the voice for Fox.
Oh wow!
And he did a mic check. I paid him, and he detected my noise floor at minus 68 decibels.
That's great.
So I have a superb room.
That's awesome. See, I don't have that luxury. I'm in an office.
Right. Well,
I got windows right there.
Yeah.
I don't have that luxury, and I don't want it. I don't mind.
No.
He would hate my studio. He would hate it.
Well, but no, he wouldn't, because he would understand what your job is.
Right.
You're not. When I'm trying to do some commercials for somebody or a company.
Yeah, I couldn't do VO in here. That's for sure.
Yeah. But that's all right. But anyway, the podcast is super freaking fun, and
I'm going to listen. It looks really great.
Oh, thanks. And I really thank you for your ears on that, because if you're hearing the compression, I'm not compressing all that much on my voice, but if you're hearing it,
I'm hearing it.
Somewhere along the line, I got to.
Yeah, it sounds like, it actually sounds like KHJ. Sounds like Boss Radio. You got a perfect voice to do that. I mean, it doesn't hurt. You sound really good. But yeah, I just, what? I didn't learn any of this. I just have my own aesthetic that I try to, hit.
Well,
nobody taught me anything.
Except you're behind the microphone enough, and there's osmosis that takes place. And when you get 30 years of it, like however many years you've been in the business, 30-some plus years?
40.
Maybe more?
40, let's see. 50 years. Be 50 years in November.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I got my my FCC third ticket.
Third class?
Yeah, third class ticket in December 1976. So I'm coming up on my 50th anniversary. Can you believe that?
I got mine in 69.
Oh, you're ahead of me. You've been doing it longer than I have.
Like I said, well, yeah, but that was college radio.
Yeah,
then I got into TV and performing. But
you got more under your belt than I do.
Not with 200 stations, I don't.
It was always my dream to have a syndicated radio show. Now that I have it, it's not as cool as I thought it would be. Actually, it's a hell of a lot of fun. It's just also work. And what's funny is it's still stressful.
Really?
Yeah. It's still every morning on the weekend. I think, I got to go do the radio show. It's like, I'm just waiting for the day when I just lose it. I can't. I go.
Somebody shoot me before I shoot somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I got to run, Rob. I got another show to do. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks, Leo. I really appreciate it. Totally enjoyed the chat, man.
Always fun. Yeah. Take care, Rob.
Bye-bye. See you.
Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWiT, TWiT. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on MacBreak Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.